Chapter 1064. Tianwu Continent. Long family. Inside a secret chamber. Long Hang, who received the news, had an extremely gloomy expression on his face. It was as ugly as it could get. Long Hang had never thought that Longao would leave the Long family to return to Jojo Continent to help his family. He should have thought of this earlier, but why did he miss it? In the end. From the beginning to the end, Long Hang had never put Longao in his eyes. How big could a mere purple-grade great emperor martial artist cause? What was the result? According to the news brought back by Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang, Longao had killed 100 great emperor martial artists in one strike. Even the two of them had to leave with serious injuries. With Longao's strength, could he do that? According to the news brought back by Leng Mian, Longao must have used some kind of power to increase his strength. Otherwise, Longao would not be able to do that. Not to mention two supreme Dao martial artists, he might not even be able to win against a white-grade great emperor martial artist. What kind of secret skill was that? Long Hang cursed in his heart. He knew that he had not succeeded in destroying the dragon sect, nor did he kill Longao. Sooner or later, the news would spread. A mere Longao, would he even put him in his eyes? The problem now was that Longao had the support of the clan leader. If the clan leader spread the news, he would be in big trouble. That was right. No matter what happened, the clan leader must not hear about it. Long Hang did not continue to send people because he knew that the clan leader would notice Longao's sudden departure. It would be irrational to continue sending people out at this time. If Longao really used the secret skill, Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang would be enough to take care of Longao. Again, Long Hang would not act rashly if he did not have full confidence. The situation in Jojo Continent was changing. There was only one big force in Jojo Continent. It was the branch of the Martial Artists Alliance, the so-called Serene Hell Mansion. Everyone knew that the Serene Hell Mansion was a branch of the Martial Artists Alliance. In the Jojo Continent, there were originally 4 clans. They were the East Royal City, the Long Clan of the West, the Netherworld Mansion of the South, and the Ethereal Palace of the North. Ever since the Nether Mansion gained the support of the Martial Artists Alliance, the other 3 families had surrendered without a fight. Right now, although the Long family and the Ethereal Palace still existed in the Imperial City, they followed the Nether Mansion's lead in everything. As the saying went, even if the Nether Mansion didn't exist, the strength of the Martial Artists Alliance had to be taken into account. Wei Yang, the strongest expert in the Nether Mansion, was also a supreme Dao warrior. Under normal circumstances, the Martial Artists Alliance would not intervene in the affairs of the 9 regions and leave it to the Serene Hades Mansion. Nether Mansion. The Nether Mansion's Mansion Master, Wei Mo, and the Supreme Divine Realm Cultivator, Wei Yang, sat at the head of the hall. They looked at the 2 people in front of them and asked, "May I know why you 2 have come to my Nether Mansion?" The 2 people were Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang. Although the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family didn't have a big grudge against each other, the 2 families had always been fighting openly and secretly. Neither of them was willing to submit to the other. Moreover, the Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family wouldn't contact each other unless it was under special circumstances. If they didn't have the Martial Artists Alliance as their backer, Wei Yang and Wei Mo would be afraid. However, neither Wei Mo nor Wei Yang had the slightest fear now. The 2 of them knew very well that the 9 States continent was already considered the territory of the Martial Art Alliance. Unless the Long family wanted to start a war between the 2 families, they would not be able to do anything. Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang's purpose was simple. With just the strength of the 2 of them, they really didn't dare to kill their way back. Moreover, the Great Elder's intention had been delivered. He wouldn't send anyone over. Under such circumstances, the 2 of them had to rely on their own strength to deal with Longao and Longzong. Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang weren't fools. Since they had such a ready-made force, why not make use of it? They went straight to the point. Wei Yang, Wei Mo, I know you've always had an enemy. To be honest, our enemy is the same. Why don't we work together to eliminate the Longao and the Dragon Sect? What do you think? So that was it. In fact, Wei Yang and Wei Mo had already guessed their intentions. After all, the news that they went to the dragon sect and were almost killed had spread throughout the Jojo continent. The Tianwu continent didn't know, but the Jojo continent definitely knew. You too, I want to ask why I should help you. Because we have a common enemy. Jiyu Shuang smiled. Wei Yang's expression was strange. He didn't say anything. As for what he meant, no one knew. Wei Yang, as long as the dragon sect exists, it's impossible for the Nether Mansion to dominate the Jojo continent. And Longao, I don't need to say more about the grudge between you two. When the Longao becomes stronger, will he let you go? Wei Yang and Wei Mo still didn't say anything, but their expressions were very ugly. It was just as they had said. Everyone knew about the grudge between the Longao and the Nether Mansion. If the Longao really became stronger, would he let the Nether Mansion go? There was no doubt about it. Wei Yang, no matter what grudge our Long family has with the Martial Artists Alliance, we only have one common enemy, and that is the Longao. Killing the Longao will benefit both of us and you. Furthermore, our Long family's Grand Elder will also thank you. Grand Elder? Wei Yang and Wei Mo were shocked when they heard the Grand Elder. They naturally knew what the Grand Elder meant. Even the Grand Elder of the Long family was a lofty existence. If they could make the Grand Elder owe them a favor, it wouldn't be a bad thing. It would be a lie to say that they weren't happy. Wei Yang, that's all I have to say. Are you willing to help us deal with the Longao? Lung Mian and Jiyu Shuang retreated in order to advance. They didn't continue talking because they knew that if Wei Yang didn't want to help, it would be useless no matter how much they talked. If Wei Yang was willing to help, they believed that Wei Yang would agree even if they didn't stop here. The whole palace was quiet. Neither side said anything. Time passed by slowly. After an unknown amount of time, Wei Yang suddenly said, I can help you, but I have two conditions. The first condition is to destroy the dragon sect. No matter what it is, it will belong to us. The second condition is to let the Great Elder know about this. If you agree to my two conditions, I will agree to help you. How about it? Wei Yang's two conditions were reasonable. Even Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang knew that. If it was too difficult, they couldn't make the decision. It seemed that Wei Yang also wanted to deal with the Longao. Since things had come to this point, Leng Mian didn't waste any more time. He nodded and said, we agree to both conditions. Chapter 1065. Jojo Continent. Dragon Sect. The news of Longao's safety had spread throughout the Dragon Sect. All of a sudden, the entire Dragon Sect was overjoyed. Everyone was overjoyed. However, at this moment, Long Haosha and the others had a solemn expression as they knew about the Nether Mansion's actions. The Nether Mansion was the true overlord of the Jojo Continent. Even the Dragon Sect could not go against them. In any case, the thousands of people in the Dragon Sect had yet to refine the Divine Dao inheritance and become Divine Dao martial artists. I've received news that Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang have found the Nether Mansion. Wei Yang has agreed to help them deal with us. Longao had unknowingly become the person in charge of the Dragon Sect. Nether Mansion. Longao knew more about the Nether Mansion than anyone else. Back then, he and the Nether Mansion had fought to the death. If it wasn't for his good luck, he might have been killed by the Nether Mansion. What should we do now? Long Haosha's expression was solemn. Lung Mian and Jiyu Shuang were enough to give him a headache. Now that the Nether Mansion had joined in, could they deal with them? Grandfather, leave this to me. Are you confident? Even until now, Long Haosha still had lingering fears about Ao'er's previous move. Even if the Dragon Sect was destroyed, he did not want his grandson to continue taking risks. Grandfather, don't worry. Since things had come to this, Long Haosha did not say anything more. In the afternoon, Long Ao got up and left the Dragon Sect, heading for the Nether Mansion. With his current speed, he would reach the Nether Mansion in 2 hours. Everyone knew about the grudge between Longao and the Serene Nether Mansion. It was almost impossible to enter the Serene Nether Mansion openly. Wei Yang, Long time no see. How have you been? Wei Yang was the only one in the hall. Hearing the sudden voice, Wei Yang was not surprised at all, because he had already guessed that Longao would definitely come to find him. In the end, Longao was still wary of the Nethermansion's strength. It was also because of this that Wei Yang was more and more certain that Longao had only used some kind of secret skill to annihilate more than 100 great emperor experts with one sword. It seemed that it was still impossible to contend against a supreme Dao expert. Wei Yang laughed inwardly. This was what he had been looking forward to the most. Longao had to die. That way, not only would he be able to eliminate a huge threat, he would also be able to sell a favor to the Long family's great elder. It was killing two birds with one stone. Longao, since you're here, show yourself. Just as Wei Yang finished speaking, Longao had already appeared in the hall. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared in front of him, Wei Yang smiled and asked, Longao, you know that I have formed an alliance with Coldface and Lone Frost. Why are you still here? Wei Yang really couldn't figure it out. Was Longao not afraid of death? The purple-grayed Great Emperor realm. Wei Yang had sensed Longao's true strength in an instant. With this, Wei Yang became more confident. Wei Yang, I can say with certainty that you do not dare to help Leng Mian and Jiu Shuang. Oh. Of course, Wei Yang wouldn't choose to believe Longao. In his opinion, why wouldn't he dare? Could it be that the other party was the alliance chief of the Martial Artists Alliance? In the end, Wei Yang didn't put Longao in his eyes at all. How could Longao not know about this? Without wasting any time, Longao decided to end the battle quickly. He took out a token from his bosom. The token was emitting a strange aura, which surrounded the entire token. Alliance Chief's token? Looking at the black token in Longao's hand, Wei Yang couldn't believe it. Wei Yang was the person in charge of the Serene Hell Mansion. At the same time, he was also a member of the Martial Artists Alliance. He was familiar with the Alliance Chief's token. Seeing the Alliance Chief's token was like seeing the Alliance Chief. Why would Longao have the Alliance Chief's token? Wei Yang couldn't figure it out. However, he knew very well what the Alliance Chief's token meant. He didn't dare to be careless. He immediately knelt down and saluted the Alliance Chief's token. Then, he stood up and asked, Longao, where did you get this token? Why don't you guess? Guess. F***ck your guess. If Longao didn't suddenly take out the Alliance Chief's token, Wei Yang would have already attacked him. However, Wei Yang didn't dare to act rashly in front of the Alliance Chief's token. If Longao really knew the Alliance Chief, he would be in big trouble. Attacking the Alliance Chief's token was equivalent to attacking the Alliance Chief. If the Martial Artists Alliance knew about this, it would be terrible. Because of this, Wei Yang knew very well that his most important goal now was to figure out where Longao got the Alliance Chief's token. Longao, let me ask you again. Where did you get the Alliance Chief's token? Shaking his head, Longao smiled. A few months ago, when I was in the Martial Artists Alliance, the Alliance Chief personally handed this token to me. He also said that no matter what, as long as I take out this token, I can mobilize the power of any branch of the Martial Artists Alliance. Wei Yang, let me ask you now. Is the Serene Hades Mansion a branch of the Martial Artists Alliance? Yes. Wei Yang didn't dare to say this out loud. Unless he was tired of living, he and the Serene Hades Mansion would be doomed if the Martial Artists Alliance knew about this. Wei Yang didn't want to believe Longao's words. However, one could never be too careful. What if what Longao said was true? Longao, what do you want? After thinking for a while, Wei Yang still didn't want to take the risk. In the end, he could only choose to compromise. If Longao really knew the Alliance Chief, then he could use Longao to climb up. Wei Yang didn't want to take the risk for the grudge between them. Wei Yang wasn't stupid. He knew that since the Alliance Chief gave the Alliance Chief's token to Longao, it meant that the relationship between Longao and the Alliance Chief was special. If he could get on the good side of Longao, then wouldn't he be able to climb up the Alliance Chief's tree? The Alliance Chief was the highest existence in the Martial Artists Alliance. Wei Yang, let's be frank. Let's work together to get rid of Coldface and Jiyu Shuang. We can't do that. The Serene Hades Mansion is a branch of the Martial Artists Alliance. I believe you already know that. If we go against Coldface and Jiyu Shuang, won't we be declaring war on the Long family? If that's the case, then I'll be in big trouble. Longao, I can only promise you that the Serene Hades Mansion won't interfere in your grudge. What do you think? Shameless. Wei Yang was shameless to the core. Longao ignored Wei Yang. His purpose here was to use the Serene Hades Mansion to deal with Coldface and Jiyu Shuang. With his strength and the Dragon Sect's power, it was impossible to kill Coldface and Jiyu Shuang. Previously, he had killed hundreds of great emperors and scared away 2 divine realm martial artists with one sword. He had only used the power of the 9 divine needles to kill Coldface and Jiyu Shuang. If he didn't use it when there was a ready-made one, he would have to be crazy. Chapter 1066. Wei Yang, the last sentence, yes or no? Longao did not say anything else. Seeing that Wei Yang was silent, Longao turned around and was ready to leave. Longao sneered in his heart. He was sure that Wei Yang would agree. After all, he had the chief token in his hand. As expected. Longao, wait. Wei Yang, I don't have time to wait for you. Wei Yang's face was ghastly pale. He wanted to cut Lin Fan into pieces. However, Lin Fan had the chief token and he did not dare to do so. Longao, I agree. Longao laughed in his heart. However, his face was calm. He turned around and said with a smile, Wei Yang, I will remember your help today. I will return it to you in the future. Wei Yang waved his hand in annoyance. Longao, cut the crap. What do you want me to do? Longao smiled and did not waste any more time. He said, Wei Yang, with your strength, how confident are you in killing Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang in a 1 versus 2 situation? They were both empty gods. However, there were also strong and weak virtual gods. Longao was very clear about this. Longao, if it was 1-on-1, I might be able to kill one of them. However, I can't kill both of them at the same time. Forgive me for being powerless. Wei Yang wasn't lying about this. Longao did not doubt him. Before coming, Longao had thought about it. He could not let Wei Yang fight Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang at the same time. Even if he was willing, he believed that Wei Yang would not agree. Wei Yang, you deal with Jiyu Shuang. I will deal with Leng Mian. What do you think? Hey! He was surprised because Wei Yang did not think that Lin Fan could do it. Leng Mian was a supreme Dao martial artist. Even if he was only a nihility god martial artist, he was not someone Longao could contend against. After all, the difference between a supreme Dao martial artist and a great emperor martial artist was too great. They could not be compared. Looking at Wei Yang's expression, Longao already knew what Wei Yang was thinking. It wasn't just Wei Yang who didn't believe it. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't believe it either. Longao, I agree. Wei Yang and Longao had reached an agreement. Strictly speaking, Wei Yang had only agreed because of the Alliance Leader token in Longao's hands. Longao didn't leave the Nether Mansion. According to Longao's plan, he would kill Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang in the Serene Hell Mansion. That way, even if the matter was exposed in the future, the Long family would not blame him. As for Long Hang, whether he knew or not, it was all the same. Longao knew that with his current strength, he couldn't compete with the entire Long family. In the beginning, Wei Yang didn't agree at all. After all, if this matter was exposed, especially to the Long family's great elder, the consequences would be unimaginable. Would the Martial Artists Alliance really go to war with the Long family for him? If this matter was exposed, the first one to suffer would be him. However, Longao had the Alliance Leader token in his hands. Wei Yang had no choice but to agree. However, to prevent this matter from being exposed, Wei Yang sealed the news. Only a few people knew about this matter. Moreover, Wei Yang had already told them that if this matter was exposed, no matter who it was, they would be killed without mercy. The next day, the dawn of the morning shone on the land. Wei Yang had personally invited Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang. From the beginning to the end, Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang had never thought that Wei Yang would stab them in the back. Otherwise, they wouldn't have dared to come. Stepping into the Serene Hell Mansion. Inside the Serene Hell Mansion. Wei Yang, since you've invited us here in such a hurry, do you have a way to deal with Longao? Although they had joined forces, Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang still didn't dare to go to the dragon sect casually. The sword attack that Longao had unleashed was too powerful. They still had lingering fears. That was why Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang had been thinking of ways to deal with Longao. To be honest, I've already thought of a way to deal with Longao. They were surprised. Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang were pleasantly surprised. The two of them asked at the same time, "What is it?" "It's simple. According to what you've said before, Longao used a powerful secret skill to kill hundreds of great emperors in an instant. Even the two of you can't fight against him. If we force our way in, Longao will take us down with him. Even if we kill Longao, what's the point?" How could Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang not know about this? It was because of Longao's secret skill that they didn't dare to go. Longao's shocking sword attack was too terrifying. If it weren't for the fact that they had to detonate their bloodline, it would be impossible for them to leave. "Wei Yang, what is it?" "Let me tell you a piece of good news. I've successfully lured Longao into the Serene Underworld Mansion." "Ah!" Both Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang were shocked when they heard Wei Yang's words. They had never thought that Longao would be in the Serene Underworld Mansion. They were curious about how Wei Yang managed to lure Longao here. Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang were sly old foxes. They instantly became alert. Based on the grudge between the Serene Underworld Mansion and Longao, it was impossible for Longao to enter the Serene Underworld Mansion unless Longao was out of his mind. A sheep entering a tiger's den would only lead to death. "Wei Yang, I want to ask, how did you lure Longao here?" Wei Yang knew that they were on guard when he saw Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang's expressions. However, Wei Yang didn't seem surprised at all. He acted as if nothing had happened and said, "You don't believe me?" Without giving the two of them any chance to speak, Wei Yang continued, "Since you two don't believe me, why do you still want to join hands with me? You're really taking off your pants to fart. What an unnecessary move. I'll go and let Longao leave now." They were shocked. The two of them secretly cursed themselves. The enmity between the Nether Mansion and Longao was there. Wei Yang wouldn't choose to go against the two of them for an enemy. Not to mention, there was still the Great Elder behind them. Would Wei Yang dare to offend the Great Elder? Although Wei Yang belonged to the Martial Artists Alliance, the Great Elder could kill Wei Yang in a matter of minutes. They both knew this, and they believed that Wei Yang also knew this. Unless Wei Yang was reckless, he wouldn't help Longao and choose to go against them and the Great Elder. "Brother Wei Yang, please calm down. We're just asking. We're really curious. With the grudge between you and Longao, we really want to know how you managed to lure Longao to the Serene Underworld Mansion." Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang had already let down their guard. They thought it was impossible. Chapter 1067. He sneered. At this point, Wei Yang had decided to deal with Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang. The Martial Artists Alliance and the Long family, the Alliance Chief and the Great Elder. In the end, Wei Yang chose the Martial Artists Alliance and the Alliance Chief instead of the Long family and the Great Elder. In Wei Yang's opinion, even if he killed Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang, who would know? He just had to eliminate the source of the problem. As long as he kept the news a secret, he believed that the Long family would definitely blame it on Longao. At that time, the Long family would eliminate Longao and he would have nothing to lose. That was exactly the case. Wei Yang casually found a reason to fool the two of them. As for Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang, they believed it too. They still did not believe that Wei Yang would team up with Longao to trick them. No one would believe it, let alone the two of them. Longao's move was to give them a taste of their own medicine. It was too ruthless. "Wei Yang, if that's the case, what are we waiting for? I don't believe that Longao won't be able to use his secret skill with the three of us working together. In the end, Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang were still wary of Longao's secret skill. Especially the terrifying power of that sword. Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang had already thought of a countermeasure. Even if Longao's secret skill was powerful, they believed that they would be able to kill him with a sneak attack. If Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang knew about this, they would be ridiculed. 3 Supreme Dao martial artists working together to deal with a small purple-grade Great Emperor martial artist. No one in the world would be able to do such a thing. The gap between the Supreme Dao realm and the Great Emperor realm was an insurmountable gap. Even in a one-on-one situation, a Great Emperor martial artist would not be able to defeat a Supreme Dao martial artist. Lung Mion, Jiyu Shuang, the three of us can't attack from the same direction. Why is that? It's very simple. Although Longao's strength isn't that great, he's too cunning. No one knows how many secrets Longao has. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We can't afford to miss it. Otherwise, we'll be letting the tiger return to the mountain. Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang nodded in agreement. So, let's attack Longao from 3 different directions at the same time. I don't believe that Longao won't die. All right. Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang agreed without hesitation. Just as Wei Yang had said, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. No matter what happened, they could not miss this opportunity. Otherwise, if they let the tiger return to the mountain, it would be even more difficult to find such an opportunity in the future. Wei Yang, Lung Mion, and Jiyu Shuang walked towards the courtyard of the Serene Hell Mansion. Perhaps Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang were too excited. They did not notice it at all. Under normal circumstances, as the branch of the Martial Artists Alliance and the overlord of the Jojo continent, the Serene Hell Mansion would not be so quiet. Along the way, they did not even see a ghost, let alone a person. But now, the 3 of them did not see a single person along the way. If it was under normal circumstances, Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang would have noticed that something was wrong. In the courtyard, Longao was indeed there. However, it was an illusion created by his aura. If they did not observe him closely, they would not be able to sense it. He's really here. Looking at Longao, who was sitting in the courtyard, Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang had already confirmed it. They were pleasantly surprised because the 2 of them knew that Longao did not have the slightest bit of vigilance at this moment. It was also the best opportunity to attack. If they missed it, it would be almost impossible to find such an opportunity in the future. Let's attack. Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang nodded. At this moment, Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang suddenly rushed out. As for Wei Yang, he did not move. This is not good. Let's retreat. Seeing that Wei Yang did not attack, Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang realized that something was wrong. Until now, the 2 of them could not figure out why Longao and Wei Yang would team up. But one had to know. The 2 of them had a life and death feud. This was known by the entire Jojo continent. No matter who it was that teamed up with Longao, it should not be Wei Yang. This was too crazy. Longao alone was enough to make the 2 of them wary. Now that Wei Yang was added to the mix, the 2 of them were even more annoyed. Not daring to be careless, the 2 of them turned around and prepared to leave. In the end, the 2 of them entered a grey space. One of them, could not see each other. This was the illusion array that Longao had set up. At this moment, Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang were extremely shocked. Although the 2 of them were not array masters, they had some understanding of arrays. The 2 of them were almost certain that they had entered an illusion array. Moreover, the 2 of them had already guessed that Wei Yang and Longao had teamed up. Although the 2 of them were shocked, they did not dare to hesitate and immediately started to break the array. Outside the illusion array, Wei Yang, the 2 illusion arrays that I have set up can only trap the 2 of them for a while. It cannot trap them forever. Hence, according to our previous agreement, each of us will deal with one of them. Wei Yang was very surprised. This was because he did not expect Longao's array skills to be so powerful. Since things had already developed to this stage, Wei Yang knew that he could not refuse. He nodded and immediately entered the illusion array. According to their previous agreement, Wei Yang would deal with Jiyu Shuang. The remaining one, Leng Mian, would be dealt with by Longao. Seeing that Wei Yang had entered the illusion array, Longao did not open it at all. He also entered the illusion array. Each of them would deal with one of them. In the illusion array. Looking at Longao, who had suddenly appeared, Leng Mian's face was extremely gloomy. It was as ugly as it could be because he already knew what had happened. He coldly said, "Longao, I can't help but admire you. You can actually connect with Wei Yang. However, I am very curious. With the grudge between you and Wei Yang, how did you do it?" Until now, Leng Mian still did not know what had happened. This was because he still could not figure out how Longao had managed to contact Wei Yang based on the grudge between Longao and Wei Yang. No matter how he thought about it, Leng Mian could not figure out what benefits this would bring to Wei Yang. "Leng Mian, do you really want to know?" "Nonsense." Leng Mian stared at him fiercely. In his heart, he thought, "If I don't want to know, why would I ask you? Guess." "Longao, I guess your sister." Hearing that Longao wanted him to guess, Leng Mian almost collapsed. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen someone as shameless as Longao. Lin Fan was simply shameless to the extreme. However, things had already developed to this stage. It would be a lie if Leng Mian said that he was not afraid. After all, Longao's shocking sword was still vivid in his mind. He could not forget it. Chapter 1068. Longao, you and I don't have any grudges. Are you willing to admit this? Longao didn't say anything. "I'm doing this because of the Great Elder's orders." Longao still didn't say anything. Longao also wanted to hear what Leng Mian wanted to say. "Longao, let's end this here. My wife and I will return to the family immediately. From now on, we won't step foot in the 9 provinces continent. How about that?" The shocking sword was unparalleled. Just thinking about it made them feel scared. If they hadn't detonated their bloodline to escape, they would have died on Longao's peak. Afraid of death. Leng Mian had always been afraid of death. Because of this, Leng Mian chose to compromise in the end. Would Longao agree? "Leng Mian, do you know my bottom line?" Leng Mian didn't answer because he didn't know what Longao meant by asking this. "Bottom line? My bottom line is my family. No matter what grudges you have with me, I can let you go. But if you touch my family, I won't tolerate it. You touched my bottom line, so you must die." This was Longao's bottom line. For his family, even if he had to die, Longao wouldn't hesitate. Hearing this, Leng Mian was furious. As a supreme Dao martial artist, he was being pressured by a great emperor martial artist. If this matter were to spread, where would his face go? Even if it was for his life, he would completely lose the face of a supreme Dao martial artist by compromising like this. "Longao, you've gone too far. I'd like to see how you're going to kill me today." Since he was going to die anyway, Leng Mian was going to throw caution to the wind. He didn't continue to talk nonsense and rushed out. Before he arrived, his terrifying aura had already arrived first. Leng Mian's intention was very simple. He wanted to end the battle quickly. It was still the same sentence. Leng Mian was very wary of Longao's secret technique. If Longao was crazy and really used the secret technique, wouldn't he die without a doubt? Because of this, Leng Mian did not intend to give Longao any chance. He planned to use his aura to suppress Longao and then kill him in one strike, not giving Longao any chance to retaliate. How could Longao not know the meaning of cold face? Aura suppression? If they were to fight using their true strength, Longao might be afraid. Wanting to suppress him with his aura? Dream on. Longao immediately released a powerful sword aura. It had already fused with the aura of heaven and earth, as well as various ultimate skills. At this moment, the sword aura was extremely terrifying. Leng Mian originally thought that he could rely on his aura to suppress his opponent and then kill him in one strike. However, he never expected that the aura he released would be suppressed by Longao's sword. He was startled. However, they had already reached this point. Could it be that they had to forcefully withdraw? Just like this, Lung Mion braced himself and attacked fiercely. In the blink of an eye, the two of them were already engaged in a fierce battle. With the help of his aura suppression, Longao really gave Lung Mion a show of strength at the beginning. Lung Mion was especially wary of him. In this way, within the first 10 moves, Longao pressed on, and Lung Mion did not retreat. However, the gap was still a gap, especially in terms of cultivation realm. Other things could not make up for it. Lung Mion was a supreme Dao warrior, while Longao was only a purple-grade Great Emperor. The gap between the two was too big. He could barely withstand the first 10 moves, but after the 10th move, Longao began to falter. If it was not for his spatial teleportation, he would have died long ago. Lung Mion was instantly delighted. Lung Mion knew very well that as long as Longao did not use his secret technique, it was almost impossible for him to kill him. It seemed that Longao was also very afraid of the backlash of the secret technique. Therefore, the more it was like this, the more he wanted to end the battle quickly. He could not waste any more time. Otherwise, once Longao used the secret technique, would he be able to withstand it? Lung Mion disappeared. In the dragon seal space. Long Fu, didn't you just say that you have a way to help me get rid of Lung Mion? On Jiyu Shuang's side, Longao was not worried at all. According to Wei Yang's strength, it should be impossible for him to fight against 2 people at the same time. However, in a one-on-one situation, it should not be difficult for Wei Yang to kill Jiyu Shuang. Therefore, as long as Wei Yang still wanted to stay in the Martial Artists Alliance, he would definitely kill Jiyu Shuang. After all, he had the Alliance Leader's token. If Jiyu Shuang was not worried, then what about Lung Mion? With his strength, he could only kill Lung Mion if he used the 9 Needles Sealing Spirit. However, Longao did not dare to continue using the 9 Needles Sealing Spirit. Previously, he forcefully used the 9 Needles Sealing Spirit and shattered his Dantian. If it was not for a mysterious force that helped him to reform his Dantian, he would have died by now. Master, my method is very simple. Stall for time. Stall for time? Longao was not an idiot. He immediately understood what Long Fu meant. It was nothing more than stalling for time. After Wei Yang killed Jiyu Shuang, he would use Wei Yang's strength to deal with Lung Mion. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. According to the current situation, Longao knew that Long Fu's method was the only and best way. It was too difficult to kill Lung Mion. In the end, Longao chose Long Fu's method. Stall for time and use Wei Yang to kill Lung Mion. Longao did not continue attacking. As for Lung Mion, seeing that Longao had suddenly disappeared, he did not hesitate and immediately started to break the formation. With the power of the illusion formation, it was impossible to trap Lung Mion for a long time. At most, it would only last for a few minutes. However, this was enough. With Wei Yang's strength, it was more than enough to kill Jiyu Shuang in a few minutes. When Lung Mion broke the formation, he was shocked to see a black shadow in front of him. Longao, don't play tricks with me. Lung Mion seemed to be very afraid of Longao. When he saw the black shadow flashing, he directly slapped it. With this slap, the black shadow was instantly split into pieces. Ah! Lung Mion knew what he had just done. He had just killed his wife. Looking at Longao and Wei Yang in front of him, Lung Mion almost broke down. Longao was the first person to be able to force a supreme Dao warrior into such a state. Longao. Waving his hand, Longao did not want to listen to his nonsense. He said coldly, Lung Mion, as the saying goes, the winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. If I had not returned in time, I believe that my family would have been destroyed by you. Now, you have killed your wife with your own hands. If I were you, I would immediately commit suicide to accompany her. Lung Mion did not know, but Longao and Wei Yang did. Jiyu Shuang was already dead. He was killed by Wei Yang. However, Longao wanted to use Jiyu Shuang's death to deal a blow to Lung Mion. In this way, Lung Mion, who was originally able to use 10% of his strength, would not even be able to use 70% of his strength now. This was a problem with his state of mind. Longao was using his state of mind to kill Longmion. Chapter 1069. Longao, you killed my wife. If I don't kill you, I swear I'm not a human. He shook his head. Longao looked at him with disdain and said sarcastically, I killed your wife. Longmion, are you afraid to face the truth and refuse to admit it? Ah! Longmion could not take it and roared. Following which, Longmion charged towards Longao. Longao did not make a move. The one who made a move was Wei Yang. This was something that Longao had already decided to make use of Wei Yang's strength to kill Longmion. In the blink of an eye, Wei Yang and Longmion were engaged in battle. Both Wei Yang and Longmion were in the empty god realm. However, Wei Yang was a peak empty god while Longmion was a high empty god. There was a difference of one level between the two of them. Longao did not make a move. He stood at his original position and watched the battle. He had to admit that Longmion was very powerful. Even with Wei Yang's strength, it would take some time for him to kill Longmion. However, Jiyu Shuang was only a middle-level illusionary divine dream master and was much weaker than Longmion. Long Fu, are you done? Master, was it worth it? Longao did not reply. To him, it was worth it. Longao's intention was simple. He wanted to make Jiyu Shuang his soul slave. Although this soul slave did not have the strength of a god, Longao only wanted to scare Longmion. Swoosh! Lone Frost, who had just been killed, suddenly appeared. It was easy to imagine how much shock this caused to Longmion. Ah! Before Longmion could react, Wei Yang's fist landed on Wei Yang's body and killed him. Wei Yang was ruthless enough to not even leave Longmion's soul behind. At this moment, Longmion and Jiyu Shuang were both killed. From the beginning to the end, only a few minutes had passed. Looking at the two corpses on the ground, Longao did not laugh. Neither did he heave a sigh of relief. Longao knew that even if he killed Longmion and Jiyu Shuang, what could he do? To put it bluntly, whether it was Coldface or Lone Frost, they were just puppets. They were just puppets of Great Elder Long Hang. As long as Long Hang didn't die, there would be endless trouble. Longao was not very worried about his own safety. The only thing he was worried about was the dragon sect behind him. After all, it was impossible for him to return in time every time. Taking a step back. Even if he could make it back in time every time, Longao couldn't guarantee that he would be able to save the dragon sect every time. No matter what, Longmion and Jiyu Shuang were dead this time. If there were no accidents, Long Hang would definitely send more powerful warriors next time. If that was the case, the safety of Dragon Sect could not be guaranteed. Longao, I've already done my part. I hope this matter won't be leaked. He sneered in his heart. Regarding Wei Yang's meaning, how could Longao not know? Others might not know, but it was impossible for him and Wei Yang not to know that Longmion and Jiyu Shuang were actually the Great Elder's lackeys. Once the two of them died and this matter was leaked, would Long Hang let it go? Wei Yang, we'll talk about the grudge between us in the future. However, I hope that we can settle it ourselves. I've already said that the Dragon Sect is my bottom line. If you touch my bottom line, no matter who it is, I'll destroy them. F***ck off. Wei Yang didn't care about Longao at all. If it wasn't for the Alliance Master token in Longao's hands, would Wei Yang be so obedient? Longao, you have the Alliance Master token in your hands. We can't be enemies in the future. I hope we can be friends. I'm a straightforward person. If you have something to say, say it. Without giving Longao any chance to speak, Wei Yang continued, if I'm not wrong, your relationship with the Alliance Master should be pretty good. I hope you can put in a few good words for me in front of the Alliance Master. I don't want to stay in the 9 states anymore. What do you think? Longao didn't say anything. He turned around and left. As for whether he agreed, Wei Yang didn't know at all. Looking at the figure that was already gradually disappearing, Wei Yang's expression was extremely ugly as he muttered to himself, Longao, one day, I will make your life worse than death. Even the heavens won't hear your cries and the earth won't respond. The next day after Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang were killed, the news was sent back to the Martial Artists Alliance. It wasn't sent back to the Alliance Master or anyone else, but to He Sho. He Sho's strength was unfathomable. He had a very close relationship with Hades. He Sho was also Wei Yang's master. Because of this, Wei Yang didn't tell anyone about this. He only told He Sho because he wanted to know what was going on with the Alliance Master Token in Longao's hands. Wei Yang had made up his mind. If the Alliance Master Token in Longao's hands was truly given to him by the Alliance Master, then the enmity between them would be written off. He would also do his best to mend his relationship with Longao. If the Alliance Master Token in Longao's hands was fake and Longao had obtained it from somewhere else, then no matter what, he would kill Longao. Even if it was for the Nether Mansion, it could be considered as killing him to silence him. Lei Luo, a deity, could be considered He Sho's subordinate. Lei Luo had come to the 9 Provinces continent on behalf of the Martial Artists Alliance to help the Nether Mansion deal with the other 3 superpowers. However, Lei Luo's strength was there for all to see. He was only going to help. Once he was done, he would immediately return to the Martial Artists Alliance. 9 Provinces continent. Nether Mansion, Main Hall. Big brother Lei Luo, why are you here? Seeing Lei Luo, Wei Yang was a little shocked. He had never imagined that his master would send Lei Luo here. It had to be known that among his many subordinates, Lei Luo was the one his master valued the most. Wei Yang, the Lord sent me here mainly for Longao. Tell me, what's going on? Seeing how serious Lei Luo was, Wei Yang didn't dare to hesitate. He immediately told Lei Luo everything that had happened, especially the Alliance Master Token in Longao's hands. After hearing everything, Lei Luo's expression became extremely ugly. After thinking for a while, Lei Luo said curiously, Longao has never been to the Martial Artists Alliance. As for whether Longao knows the Alliance Master, let alone me, even the Lord can't be sure. Big brother Lei Luo, since that's the case, what should we do now? The Lord's intention is very simple. Let's wait and see. With the Alliance Master's strength, it's impossible for anyone to snatch the Alliance Master Token from him. Therefore, we can't be sure whether the Alliance Master Token in Longao's hands is related to the Alliance Master. Lei Luo was also very surprised. He didn't know what to do because it was better to be safe than sorry. If the Alliance Master Token in Longao's hands was really given by the Alliance Master, then wouldn't his side be in a passive position? It was also because of this that He Sho had repeatedly told him to wait and see. Chapter 1070. Let's wait and see. Wei Yang let out a deep sigh. It seemed that even his master was afraid of Longao. However, it made sense. No matter what, the Alliance Chief Token in Longao's hand represented the Alliance Chief's personal arrival. Not to mention his master, even if someone of a higher level in the Martial Artist Alliance came, they would still be afraid. That was the power of the Alliance Master Token. After killing Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang, Longao left the Serene Ghost Mansion and returned to the Dragon Sect immediately. Longao Peak. As soon as Longao returned, Long Haosha asked impatiently, Ao how did it go? Long Haosha was afraid of Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang. No matter what, they were both divine path martial artists. As long as they were alive, they would be a big threat to the Dragon Sect. How could Longao not know about his grandfather's fear? Grandpa, Lung Mion, and Jiyu Shuang are dead. Dead. Hearing Ao's words, Long Haosha was overjoyed. As for how Ao did it, Long Haosha didn't ask. He knew that if Ao didn't want to say, even if he asked, it would be useless. Ao, Grandpa wants to ask you something. I hope you can answer me truthfully. Grandpa, please ask. In fact, Long Ao had guessed what his grandfather wanted to ask. As expected. Ao, did you have a conflict with Long Hang when you went to the Long family? It seemed that his grandfather already knew about it. In that case, there was no point in keeping it a secret. In the following time, Long Ao recounted the matter between him and Long Hang in full detail, automatically omitting the dangers involved. His grandson described it so casually, but Longao knew that it must have been dangerous. However, Longao did not ask. Longhang's strength and identity are obvious. Now that you have offended him, have you thought about how you will deal with him? Longhang was the great elder of the Long family. Just as Longao said, Longhang's strength and identity were obvious. Even if Sun Tzu and the dragon sect were involved, it would be nonsense. What should he do? Longao really didn't know what to do. If it were an ordinary person, he would still have full confidence. However, Longhang's status and strength were a little too strong. It seemed a little unrealistic to want to deal with Longhang in a short time. Grandpa knows what you're thinking. But sometimes, you have to restrain yourself. It's not a good thing to show off too much. Do you understand what Grandpa is saying? Nodding, Longao replied, Grandfather, I understand. He was showing off too much. Back then, Long Tien and the primordial divine dragon had tried to challenge the heavenly Daos. In the end, they had been killed by the heavenly Daos. They hadn't even had a chance. Longao was almost certain that if Long Tien and the primordial divine dragon were able to restrain themselves and find an opportunity to absorb the power of origin to reach the peak of the martial Dao, then even defeating the heavenly Dao would not be impossible. Grandpa believes in you. There's one more thing. The old ancestor has been in the cycle of reincarnation for such a long time. Do you know when the old ancestor will successfully reincarnate? Ancestor? Longao had been paying attention to the old ancestor's situation. He wanted to find the old ancestor as soon as possible. Previously, Long Batian had said that his reincarnation this time could be said to be a narrow escape. If he was not careful, he would fail the reincarnation and fall into eternal damnation. Reincarnation was like that. The more times one went through, the greater the danger. Long Batian had already reincarnated 7 times. It was needless to say how dangerous it was. Before Long Batian entered the cycle of reincarnation, he had already told Longao that once the reincarnation was successful, he would give him a hint. At that time, Longao would look for the old ancestor's traces and help Long Batian be reborn. There was no hint, which meant that the old ancestor had not successfully reincarnated. Whether he was dead or alive was still unknown. In addition, Longao had always wanted to find out the mystery of his birth. Originally, he wanted to use this opportunity to return to find out what was going on. Unfortunately, his grandfather and father did not know. After thinking for a long time, Longao could only think of the old ancestor, Long Batian. Longao even suspected that the old ancestor definitely knew about this matter. Otherwise, then the matter of the bloodline in his body being sealed would really not be known by anyone. However, it was still unknown when the old ancestor would be reborn. That was right. Longao had already thought about it. This time, after settling the sect's matter and the Long family's matter, he would continue to go to the outer sea to find the clairvoyant and ask him about his bloodline being sealed. Longao was very clear that the clairvoyant's Tao of divination was very powerful. As long as the clairvoyant was willing to tell him, it would save him a lot of trouble. Grandfather, I will settle the old ancestor's matter. The problem now is that we have to think of a way to resist these foreign enemies. Longao was a little speechless about formations. Longao was very clear that if his formation Dao could reach the next level, then the formation that he set up would be able to kill even supreme Dao warriors, such as Leng Mian, Jiyu Shuang, or Wei Yang, let alone great Emperor Realm warriors. Formation masters were ranked from lowest to highest: Level 1 Formation Master, Level 2 Formation Master, Level 3 Formation Master, Level 4 Formation Master, Level 5 Formation Master, Level 6 Formation Master, Level 7 Formation Master, Level 8 Formation Master, Level 9 Formation Master, Level 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 Formation Master, and Level Formation Master. Among the Array Masters, a God-level Array Master was the pinnacle of existence. Longao's Array Dao had reached the peak of the level of Level Formation Master. He was only one step away from becoming an Level Formation Master. However, the last step was a little difficult. Moreover, there was still the God-level Formation Master, which was even more difficult. Long Haosha nodded. He was very clear about his grandson's worries. After thinking for a while, he said, "The dragon sect cannot be hidden forever. Once Long Hang finds out that Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang were killed, he will not let it go. If nothing goes wrong, I believe Long Hang will send more powerful warriors. At that time, it will be more difficult for us to deal with them." Long Ao was afraid of this. No matter what, he could not use the 9 needles sealing god every time, and he could not rely on the power of the Martial Artists Alliance every time. Some methods might work the first time, but they might not work the second time. After all, the other party was not stupid and would not let you use him every time. Moreover, Wei Yang was not stupid. He was an old fox. "What should I do? Grandfather, what do you think we should do now?" As the saying goes, the older the ginger, the spicier it is. Long Haosha had lived for so many years. His experience were all there. This was not something that Long Ao could casually compare with. Long Ao was very clear about this point. P.S. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning. I will send out the first 7 chapters. Xiao Ju will go and rest for a while. As for the remaining 3 chapters, Xiao Ju will try to hurry up. Don't rush me. I hope you have votes in your hands. Chapter 1071. Long Haosha lowered his head and fell into deep thought. No matter what, Long Hang was still the Grand Elder of the Long family. His strength and status were there for all to see. It was really not an easy thing to deal with Long Hang. Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang had already been killed. In the short term, their deaths wouldn't cause any commotion. However, as time passed, Long Hang would definitely know. Even so, Long Hang was still unwilling to believe that Long Ao could kill Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang. It was just as Long Hang had guessed. Ever since Long Ao left the Long family, Long Di Tian had been keeping a close eye on him. If he made a move now, wouldn't he be giving the patriarch something to use against him? Long Hang had always been cautious. If he wasn't confident, he wouldn't take the risk. With the death of Lung Mion and Jiyu Shuang, peace returned to the 9 prefectures continent for the time being. The Nether Mansion was still the overlord of the 9 prefectures continent. As for the Dragon Sect, they didn't care about the matters of the 9 prefectures continent as if it had nothing to do with them. Others didn't know that the only thing the Dragon Sect was doing now was to refine the Divine Dao inheritance as fast as possible. Once thousands of Divine Dao warriors were successfully refined, the Dragon Sect wouldn't have a hard time conquering the 9 prefectures continent. They could even enter the Tianwu continent. 9 prefectures continent, rank 3 Long clan. Sect Chief Long Maoan and Great Elder Long Yang were astounded. Until now, the two of them still couldn't believe that Long Ao was able to kill more than 100 Emperor Realm martial artists in one strike and scare away 2 Supreme Realm martial artists. What kind of concept was that? How long had it been? In just a few months, Long Ao's achievements had already surpassed them. The two of them were worried. The rank 3 Long clan had been abandoned by the Long family. It was already fortunate that they weren't destroyed by the Nether Mansion. The two of them knew that if Long Ao chose to deal with them, the Long clan would have no choice but to surrender. What they were afraid of came true. "Long Ao, you're finally here." Looking at the young man who suddenly appeared in front of them, neither Long Maoan nor Long Yang were surprised. The two of them knew that Long Ao would definitely come. "Long Maoan, Long Yang, Long. How have you been?" He snorted coldly. "Long Ao, cut the crap. What do you want?" The two of them felt helpless. Long Ao was able to kill over 100 great Emperor-level martial artists and scare away 2 Supreme Dao martial artists with one sword strike. No matter what method he used, his strength was already there for all to see. Would the family be able to contend against Long Ao with its power alone? Long Chen doesn't have a good life in the Long family. Huh? Looking at the young man in front of them, the two of them didn't know why Long Ao would suddenly mention this. What did that mean? "Long Mo Wen, between you and me, it's either you die or I die. We're enemies. No matter if we live or die, we can't blame anyone. But now, I don't think there's a need for us to continue fighting. What do you think?" Long Mauen did not answer because he did not know what Longao wanted. Under normal circumstances, the grudge between them was like what Longao had said. It was either you die or I die. Longao was no longer who he used to be. No matter if the others believed him or not, the two of them didn't believe him. Long Chen and I have always been good friends. Moreover, I'm no longer at the same height as you. F***ck. They had to admit that Longao's words were arrogant. Even a fool could tell that Longao no longer cared about them. Although the two of them were unhappy with Longao's words, they knew that Longao was telling the truth. With Longao's current strength, it was obvious that they were no match for him. The two of them sighed deeply at the same time. Longao, we're the same. From now on, our grudge is written off. We'll mind our own business. At this moment, Long Mauen and Long Yang felt a sense of helplessness. They had never thought that things would turn out this way. Once upon a time, the third-grade Long family was still one of the four major forces in the Jojo continent. In the eyes of the third-grade Long family, Long Ao and Long Zong were just like ants. If they wanted to trample Long Zong to death, it would be an easy task. But now, not to mention Long Ao, just the Nether Mansion alone would be able to destroy them whenever they wanted to. The Nether Mansion had the support of the Martial Artists Alliance. The Long family had already abandoned the Long family. This was the gap between them, a gap that could not be bridged. Long Mauen, if I'm not wrong, the Nether Mansion will destroy the rank 3 Long family, Ethereal Palace, and Imperial City in a year. Long Mauen did not speak. A year. In Long Mauen's opinion, the Nether Mansion would take action in less than half a year. Although the Nether Mansion was the overlord of the 9 states continent, they were unwilling to let the other 3 forces exist. If it weren't for many reasons, the Nether Mansion would have taken action long ago. Even so, what could they do? Looking at Long Mauen and Long Yang in front of him, Long Ao suddenly smiled. Before the two of them could react, he said, Long Mauen, I have a way to make the Serene Hell Mansion not deal with you. Moreover, the situation in the 9 continents will be like this for now. Long Ao, do you think I'll believe you? Although they were afraid of Long Ao's strength and admitted that Long Ao was no longer the same as before, Long Mauen and Long Yang did not believe that Long Ao could control the Nether Mansion, or even the Martial Artists Alliance, and stop the 9 states continent from changing. It's up to you whether you believe me or not. I'm just asking you whether you accept it or not. Seeing that Long Ao was so confident, Long Mauen and Long Yang muttered. If someone else said this, the two of them would definitely scoff. However, Long Ao was a miracle. A person who liked to create miracles. Could it be that Long Ao could really control the Nether Mansion? It was hard to believe. However, Long Mauen certainly hoped that it was true. He asked, Long Ao, what are your conditions? There was no free lunch in the world. He did not believe that Long Ao would help him for no reason. Was it possible for him to do it just for Long Chen? According to the grudge between him and Long Ao, it was already good enough that Long Ao did not hit him when he was down, let alone help him. It was somewhat unrealistic. After thinking about it, Long Ao looked at the two in front of him and said, I only have one condition. When the Dragon Sect rises in the future and needs your help, I hope you can help. Long Ao, you're not joking, right? With your current strength, the Dragon Sect will be even stronger in the future. Can our Long family help you? Long Mauen knew his own limits. However, Long Ao shook his head and asked, do you agree or not? P.S. Those who were hesitating before, I didn't see you supporting Little Nine. You guys weren't there when he exploded. I'm really speechless. Chapter 1072. Agreed. In the end, Long Mauen agreed. After all, Long Mauen didn't want his family to be destroyed. As the head of the Long family, he had to put the family's interests first. Not only the third-level Long family. In the following days, Long Ao went to the Imperial City and the Ethereal Palace. Their intentions were similar. There was no doubt about it. The Imperial City and the Ethereal Palace both agreed. Long Ao had the Alliance Leader token. It was easy for the Serene Hades Mansion to not deal with the 3 forces. In other words, the situation in the Jojo continent wouldn't change for the time being, unless the Martial Artists Alliance or the other 9 forces intervened. There were 2 reasons why Longao helped the 3 forces. First, Longao didn't want to change the situation in the Jojo continent. After the Serene Hades Mansion dealt with the other 3 forces, they would definitely go all out to deal with the Dragon Sect. How would the Dragon Sect deal with that? Second, Longao had found a way out for the Dragon Sect. If there was a war in the future, at least they would have help. They might be able to catch the Dragon Sect off guard. The Jojo continent. In the Serene Hades Mansion. Lei Luo appeared in the main hall as soon as Longao left. Brother Lei Luo, what do you think? Wei Yang's face darkened. He didn't expect Longao to take advantage of him. Earlier, he forced him to kill Ling Mian and Jiu Shuang. Now, he didn't want him to deal with the 3 forces in the Imperial City and maintain the situation in the Jojo continent. If this spread out, he would lose face. What about the Martial Artists Alliance? Lei Luo's face darkened. There's no news from the Lord. We can't be sure if the Alliance Leader token in Longao's hand was given by the Alliance Leader. How could Wei Yang not understand the meaning behind Lei Luo's words? Brother Lei Luo, what should we do now? Wait and see. I'd like to see what tricks Longao can play. Since things had come to this point, Wei Yang knew that he could only wait for the news from the Martial Artists Alliance and see what to do. After dealing with the Jojo continent, Longao let out a long sigh of relief. Dragon Sect, Lone Courtyard. Longao sat quietly by himself. No one knew what he was thinking in his mind. All of a sudden, Longao's expression changed. Before he could react, 2 Primal Chaos Stone Tablets appeared. They were the 5 Elements Primal Chaos Stone Tablet and the Devour Primal Chaos Stone Tablet. They were in big trouble. Towards these 2 Chaos Stone Tablets, Longao was truly helpless. This was because he had no idea when these 2 Chaos Stone Tablets would appear and when they would stop. They were like the wind and clouds, constantly changing. At this moment, the 2 Chaos Stone Tablets didn't start fighting as expected. One on the left and one on the right, they were like 2 lovers in love. They stared at each other without moving at all. Longao didn't dare to act rashly because he didn't know what the 2 Chaos Tablets wanted. This situation had never happened before. Did they want to fight or not? Longao tried to communicate with Long Fu, Xiling, and Bai Ling to see if the 3 of them had any ideas. If he didn't communicate, he wouldn't have known. Now that he did, he was shocked. This was because Longao realized that be it Xiling, Bai Ling, or Long Fu, he couldn't communicate with them. If he wasn't wrong, it should be because of the 2 Chaos Stone Tablets. With a su, Longao's soul entered his dantian. Looking at the white and grey area, he was really curious. He didn't know why his soul would suddenly enter his dantian. Chaotic dantian. Chaos Stone Tablets. Seeing the 2 Chaos Stone Tablets enter his dantian, Longao was really curious. He didn't know what the relationship between the Chaos Stone Tablets and his dantian was. Refining. Longao could clearly sense that at this moment, his dantian was refining the 2 Chaos Stone Tablets. Even if it was devouring the tablets, it was still being refined. Longao didn't know what was happening at all. Why would his dantian suddenly refine the 5 Elements Chaos Stone Tablets and even devour them? With regards to his dantian, Longao was really looking forward to it. To be able to refine 2 Chaos Stone Tablets, one could imagine how terrifying his dantian was. Longao was powerless. He could only watch quietly as the 2 Chaos Stone Tablets were being refined by his dantian. As for whether or not he could refine them, that was still unknown. If he said that he wasn't happy, that would be a lie. Longao was very clear what it meant for his dantian to refine 2 Chaos Stone Tablets. If he successfully refined the Devour and 5 Elements Chaos Stone Tablets, then according to Long Fu, his strength wouldn't increase greatly. He could even become one of the strongest martial artists in the world. In the world, there were a total of 12 Chaos Stone Tablets. No matter who it was, as long as they could obtain one of the Chaos Stone Tablets, they could become a supreme powerhouse in the world. However, Longao was also a little worried. because from ancient times until now, there had never been a person who could possess 2 Chaos Stone tablets at the same time, much less refine them. Once Longao successfully refined the Devour and 5 Elements Chaos Stone tablets, he could become the first person in history. There would be no one like him in history. About 6 hours later, Longao was able to move. He left his dantian and looked around the courtyard. He let out a long sigh of relief, because even now, he still didn't know what had just happened. Why would the 2 primal Chaos Stone tablets suddenly enter his primal Chaos dantian and even begin to be refined? Although the refining speed was a little slow, Longao was still looking forward to it. He was looking forward to his dantian refining the 2 Chaos Stones. Master, what happened just now? Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao was almost certain that Long Fu didn't know what had just happened. Since he didn't know, he didn't intend to tell Long Fu. After all, Long Fu didn't know anything about his dantian. The 2 Chaos Stone tablets suddenly appeared. Then, I was brought into a mysterious space. 6 hours later, I came back. During this time, I don't know what happened either. Ever since Longao met Long Fu, he didn't hide anything from him. It was because of this that Long Fu didn't suspect anything. After thinking about it, Long Fu didn't say anything. It seemed like even Long Fu didn't know what had happened. We're in big trouble. At this time, Long Haosha rushed into the courtyard. In the entire dragon sect, besides Long Haosha and Long Yi, there was probably no one else who dared to enter the courtyard. After all, Long Ao's status was there. Even Long Haosha's status was inferior to Long Ao's. Grandfather, what happened? Long Ao was curious. He didn't know why his grandfather was so flustered. P.S. Chapter 9 has been delivered. The last chapter will be delivered by Little 9 as soon as possible. Chapter 1073. Yi Wushuang is outside. Yi Wushuang? Hearing that Yi Wushuang was here, Long Ao's expression instantly turned solemn. Of course, he was familiar with Yi Wushuang. It could be said that Long Ao and Yi Wushuang could be considered brothers. Moreover, Long Ao had personally promised Fen Tian that he would clean up the sect and kill Yi Wushuang. Although he was full of confidence in his own strength, Long Ao still knew his limits. The current situation. Whether it was strength or formation skills, he was no match for Yi Wushuang. If they really fought, he would be the one at a disadvantage in the end. Long Ao knew very well that he had been careless this time. He only wanted to settle the situation in the 9 provinces and forgot to block the news. Yi Wushuang knew that he had returned to Long Ao Peak, so it would be strange if he did not come. Outside Long Ao Peak. Yi Wushuang, long time no see. How have you been? Long Ao, cut the crap. I'm looking for you this time mainly for the 100 drops of dragon blood. As long as you return them to me, we can forget about our previous grudges. I won't pursue the matter. How about that? He really came for the 100 drops of dragon blood. Others might not know where the 100 drops of dragon blood went, but how could Long Ao not know? The 100 drops of dragon blood had gradually been refined by Long Qiong. If he wanted to take out the 100 drops of dragon blood, he would have to find them again. Of course, Long Ao would not answer truthfully. Yi Wushuang, I've already said that I didn't take the 100 drops of dragon blood. It's useless for you to keep pestering me. Yi Wushuang had a look of disbelief. Long Ao, I'll give you one last chance. Hand over 100 drops of dragon blood, and our grudges will be written off. Otherwise, not only you, even the entire dragon sect behind you, I won't leave a single one alive. Yi Wushuang had the right to be so arrogant. As a divine Dao martial artist, Yi Wushuang was also a divine Dao formation master. He could be considered to be standing at the peak of formation masters. Whether it was a one-on-one or a group battle, Yi Wushuang was really an expert among experts. It would be a lie to say that he was not afraid. Long Ao, you have to think carefully. Within Long Ao Peak. Before Long Batian left, he gave his cave residence to Long Ao. It was a temporary shelter for the dragon sect. There were tens of thousands of disciples in the dragon sect. It was almost impossible to move all of them. However, Long Haoshe had already thought of a countermeasure. Not only was it to deal with Yi Wushuang, but it was mainly to deal with Long Hang, the other people, and the other forces. Long Haoshe first moved the 1,000-odd people who had obtained the divine Dao inheritance to the underground of Longao Peak, which was Long Baishan's cave residence. The remaining people moved as fast as they could. Long Baishan's abode was so big that it could easily accommodate tens of thousands of people, let alone thousands. Long Ao. He waved his hand. This time, Long Ao did not give Yi Wushuang the chance to speak. He said impatiently, Yi Wushuang, do you know Fen Tian? Fen Tian? Yi Wushuang was shocked when he heard Long Ao mention Fen Tian. Others might not know who Fen Tian was, but how could he not know? Fen Tian was his master. It was all thanks to his master that he was able to achieve what he had today. Yi Wushuang did not say anything. He stared coldly at Long Ao in front of him. The killing intent on his body slowly gathered. It could be said that his killing intent was overflowing. Yi Wushuang, since things have come to this, I'll tell you something. Without waiting for Yi Wushuang to ask, Long Ao continued, Fen Tian is not only your master, he's also my master. Moreover, when he was about to die, I had already promised to kill you and clean up the sect. At first, he was stunned. Then, Yi Wushuang laughed maniacally. His laughter was filled with endless disdain and contempt, as if he had heard the funniest thing in the world. So you're the old man's disciple. You came at the right time. Long Ao, I'd like to see how you're going to clean up the sect today. Yi Wushuang did not take Long Ao seriously at all. If a great emperor martial artist and venerable level formation master wanted to kill him, the sun would rise from the west. Yi Wushuang, do you know about the burning sky formation? Yi Wushuang, who had already decided to attack, stopped abruptly when he heard the words burning sky formation. He was a little greedy and excited. Yi Wushuang asked with interest, you know about it? Nonsense, I'm not afraid to tell you that I've already refined the burning sky formation. Unfortunately, you won't be able to obtain it. In this lifetime, you won't be able to cultivate the Tao of formations to the peak. What a pity, what a pity. As he spoke, Long Ao sighed. The more Long Ao acted like this, the angrier Yi Wushuang became. Back then, it was precisely because of the burning sky formation that he had killed his master. However, he did not expect that the old man would rather teach the burning sky formation to an outsider than teach it to him. Yi Wushuang knew very well that what Long Ao said was right. The burning sky formation was a supreme technique among formations. If he could not obtain the burning sky formation, he would not be able to break through to the peak of the Tao of formations in this lifetime. It was precisely because of this that Yi Wushuang knew very well that no matter what happened, he had to obtain the burning sky formation. Long Ao, as long as you hand over the burning sky formation, I can give you 100 drops of dragon blood. Between 100 drops of dragon blood and the burning sky formation, Yi Wushuang naturally chose the burning sky formation without hesitation and not the 100 drops of dragon blood. The burning sky formation was too important to Yi Wushuang. Would Long Ao hand over the burning sky formation? Yi Wushuang, you killed your own master. You can even do such a heartless thing. Do you think I'll hand over the burning sky formation to you? Long Ao, if you don't hand over the burning sky formation, it won't be just you. Here it comes again. Long Ao said speechlessly, there's no need to dawdle here. Just you. Is Long Ao so confident? Thinking of the rumors he had heard before, Yi Wushuang was more or less a little afraid. However, Yi Wushuang was full of confidence in his strength and the Tao of formations. A small Long Ao would not be able to cause much trouble. Yi Wushuang, why don't you make a bet with me? What kind of bet? I bet that you won't be able to do anything about it. If I lose, not only will I give you the 100 drops of dragon blood and the burning sky formation, but I'll also give you my life. However, if you lose, you'll have to kneel in front of Long Ao Peak for a year. How about that? The more Long Ao acted like this, the more Yi Wushuang did not dare to bet. It was laughable that Yi Wushuang, who had always been full of confidence, was intimidated by Long Ao at this moment. You don't dare. Long Ao, Do you really think you're very powerful? I'd like to see how you'll escape from my hands today. As he spoke, Yi Wuxuang suddenly released a powerful aura from his body and directly suppressed Yi Wuxuang. Yi Wuxuang did not hesitate at all and charged out. Yi Wuxuang was prepared to hit the target with this attack. However, the next scene completely stunned Yi Wuxuang. P.S. All 10 chapters have been delivered. Rest. Chapter 1074. Has Longao disappeared? He disappeared right under my nose just like that. Looking at the empty space before him, Yi Wuxuang was completely dumbfounded. What happened just now? Rumble. Suddenly, the sound of thunder was accompanied by a dragon's roar. Following that, a terrifying sword chi came with the momentum. If not for Yi Wuxuang's high vigilance, he believed that the sword would have taken his life. Longao, come out and have a fair fight if you dare. What kind of hero are you sneaking around like that? Hero? Yi Wuxuang, those words coming out of your mouth are an insult to the word. Longao ignored Yi Wuxuang. With the help of spatial teleportation, he kept swinging his sword chi. Sword chi followed sword chi, forming a sword net. Longao knew very well that with his current ability, it was impossible for him to be Yi Wuxuang's match. Yi Wuxuang would not be able to react within a short period of time. He could still resist for a while. As time passed, he would be the one at a disadvantage in the end. He fiercely waved out a sword chi. Then, Longao disappeared completely. It was quiet in front of Longao Peak. Yi Wuxuang was the only one there. He looked around angrily, trying to find traces of Longao. In the end, Yi Wuxuang was disappointed. Longao, no matter where you go, I'll find you. Yi Wuxuang had a feeling that Longao had not left Longao Peak. He entered Longao Peak and began searching. In the huge cave under Longao Peak. Aoa, are you alright? Shaking his head, Longao said with a smile, although Yi Wuxuang is powerful, it won't be easy for him to deal with me. Grandfather, from now on, everyone in the dragon sect will cultivate here. Without our permission, no one is allowed to leave. Those who disobey will be killed without mercy. How could Long Haosha not know what Aoa meant? Putting aside Long Hang, the Nether Mansion, and the Martial Artists Alliance, just Yi Wuxuang alone was not Dragon Sect's match with Yi Wuxuang's ability. Aoa, I'll go arrange it now. He nodded. Long Ao's heart was very troubled. He returned to his residence, closed the door, and sat alone quietly. As his horizons grew, Long Ao realized that his strength seemed to be unable to keep up. Even if his cultivation speed was fast, he had started too late. It had been half a month since he left the Long family. According to the distance between the two places, it would take at least 15 days to return from the Long Ao peak to the Long family. In other words, there were still 2 months left. No matter what happened, he had to rush back to the Long family. Otherwise, he would be in big trouble. Long Ao was almost certain that if he did not rush back to the Long clan within 3 months, not to mention the others, just Long Hang alone would not let go. It was fine to deal with him, but what if he dealt with the dragon sect? Long Hang was the great elder of the Long family. Not to mention his own strength, the power he could mobilize was too great. If Long Hang really wanted to deal with the dragon sect, he would be in big trouble. As for Yi Wuxuang, Long Ao chose to ignore him. If Yi Wuxuang wanted to wait, then he would keep waiting. After all, neither he nor the entire dragon sect would leave the cave casually. In that case, Yi Wuxuang could not do anything to him. Tianwu Continent, Outer Sea. In the deepest part of the sea, in the Crystal Palace. Old friend, since you're here, show yourself. Ha ha ha, Oracle, we haven't seen each other for so many years, but you're still the same. The man who entered the Crystal Palace was none other than Long Batian. If Long Ao were here at this moment, who knew what he would think when he saw his ancestor, Long Batian? According to Long Batian, he had already entered 7 reincarnations. Since that was the case, why would he suddenly appear here? Old friend, why are you suddenly here this time? The Oracle's face was full of vicissitudes, and he looked very weak. Oracle, haven't you recovered from your injuries? Nodding, the oracle sighed deeply and said helplessly, "Unfortunately, I was injured in the battle back then. After so many years, I still can't recover from my injuries. I've tried countless methods, but they still don't work." As the strongest cultivator on the Tianwu continent, the oracle's helplessness made Long Baishan's heart ache. "Oracle, I came to find you this time mainly to ask you what's going on with Ao. The oracle immediately perked up at the mention of Longao. "Old friend, Longao's identity isn't simple." "What do you mean?" Long Batian was very curious. Of course, he knew who Longao was. He was just a junior. What kind of identity could he have? "I've already sensed that Longao's bloodline is extremely powerful. If it wasn't sealed by a mysterious power, I believe that Longao's cultivation speed and explosive power would increase by 1,000 times. You should know better than me what that means." Upon hearing this, Long Baishan's expression turned grim. He knew exactly what Master Godly Mathematician meant. "I still can't sense where the sealing power in Longao's body is coming from. But give me some time, and I should be able to figure it out. So nothing can happen to Longao. Other than that, I want to turn Longao into my successor." Long Batian had long since thought of this. Otherwise, the oracle wouldn't have passed on his divine divination Dao to Longao. "I'll leave Aoa to you. I'm preparing to leave for a while. Old friend, if you leave, the heavenly Daos will take advantage of the situation. I won't be able to stop them on my own." "What a joke, oracle. Others might not know your power, but do you think I don't? Let alone one heavenly Daos, even 10 of them wouldn't necessarily be a match for you. Even if you were injured, the heavenly Daos wouldn't be a match for you." Long Batian was very clear about the heavenly Daos and the oracle's power. He helplessly shook his head and sighed. "You don't know. Although I can't accurately calculate, I can roughly guess that the heavenly Daos have already made a breakthrough." "What?" Long Batian was speechless. He knew exactly what a breakthrough in the heavenly Daos cultivation base meant. If that was the case, then even the oracle wouldn't necessarily be able to keep the heavenly Daos in check. It was no wonder the heavenly Daos had said that. This time, Long Batian was shocked to the extreme, and it took him a long time to recover. "Old friend, the heavenly Daos have hidden themselves very deeply. You and I were both fooled. If we had known this, we would have killed them back then. Now that we've nurtured a tiger, the heavenly Daos will definitely not let this matter rest. In the future, the martial heaven continent will be completely dominated by the heavenly Daos. The heavenly Daos breakthrough will be inevitable," sighed the oracle. Chapter 1075. Master God Diviner, with just the two of us, can't we kill the heavenly Daos? "We can't." Long Batian didn't seem to believe it. He knew the heavenly Daos' power the best. Even if he had broken through a realm, he couldn't possibly fight the two of them alone. "Old friend. Master God Diviner, Long Batian, long time no see." A hearty laugh was heard. Immediately after, heavenly Dao strode into the crystal palace. Long Baishan's expression changed slightly as soon as he sensed it. Just as the Master God Diviner had said, the heavenly Daos were no longer the same as before. Just his aura alone was not something they could contend against. There was no doubt that the heavenly Daos' breakthrough was no small matter. The heavenly Daos. Neither the Master God Diviner nor Long Batian knew why the heavenly Daos had suddenly appeared. The martial heaven continent. Many people knew that there were only 2 people who had truly reached the peak of the martial path. They were the heavenly Daos and the Master God Diviner. However, many people didn't know that there was another person whose cultivation base had also reached the peak of the martial path. It was Long Batian. However, Long Baishan's personality was very strange. He didn't like others knowing about him. Otherwise, the world wouldn't only know about the heavenly Daos and the Master God Diviner. "Master God Diviner, the main reason I came to find you is to ask you to help me calculate." "Calculate what?" The Master God Diviner's divine Dao was something that even the heavenly Daos admired. Furthermore, the heavenly Daos felt a trace of gratitude toward the Master God Diviner. If it hadn't been for the Master God Diviner's help, he wouldn't have been able to reach the peak of the martial path. Long Batian smiled. The heavenly Daos walked to the side and sat down, looking very indifferent. It was unknown whether or not the heavenly Daos had heard what the Master God Diviner and Long Batian had said. Master God Diviner, I'll get straight to the point. I want to destroy the 10-direction cauldron and re-establish it. Will there be any problems with that? The Master God Diviner and Long Batian's expressions changed. Both Master God Diviner and Long Batian knew what the heavenly Dao meant. Other than the three of them, the 10 directions cauldrons were the strongest existences on the martial heaven continent. If something unexpected happened, then one of the 10 directions cauldrons could reach the peak of the martial path and directly threaten the existence of the heavenly Daos. Heavenly Daos, you should know that we agreed not to interfere with the martial heaven continent situation. Master God Diviner, Yong Qi said. Those people are all trying to absorb the essence power. If we don't stop them. Although Heavenly Dao did not finish his words, the meaning in his words was already very clear. Heavenly Dao, I don't want anyone to break our agreement, no matter who it is. At the end of the day, the Heavenly Dao was still somewhat wary of Master God Diviner. Even if his cultivation had made a breakthrough, the Heavenly Dao still did not dare to act rashly. Otherwise, the Heavenly Dao would not have come to ask and would have directly taken action. With the strength of the Heavenly Dao, wanting to destroy the 10 directions tripod erection was simply a clear matter. Master God Diviner's strength was unfathomable. The Heavenly Daos, the structure of the martial heaven continent cannot be destroyed. As for what you're worried about, I can guarantee that it won't happen. Heavenly Dao. Long Batian, who had been silent this entire time, suddenly said, Heavenly Dao, with your current strength, even if someone is able to absorb the essence power, you can definitely kill them. Why do you have to destroy the 10 directions tripod erection and change the structure of the continent? He nodded. Although the Heavenly Dao was displeased, he chose to compromise in the end. The Heavenly Dao wanted to advance step by step. If his cultivation base could reach a higher level, then whatever dogfart Master God Diviner and Long Batian would not be a problem. The Master God Diviner was already unfathomable. Adding in Long Batian, the Heavenly Dao did not dare to take the risk. If he was killed by the two of them, wouldn't he be trying to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it? Heavenly Dao, I trust you understand the situation of the martial heaven continent. If you act recklessly and expose the secret of the continent, the two of us will not just sit and wait for death. The Heavenly Dao nodded. He was very afraid of the two of them. Heavenly Dao, the Long family and the dragon race, you should let them go. The Heavenly Dao was just about to leave when he heard Long Batian's words. His expression turned cold. Long Batian, aren't you meddling too much in other people's business? You don't seem to have any relationship with the Long family or the dragon race. Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon were a huge problem for the Heavenly Dao. How could he let them off so easily? Back then, Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon almost reached the peak of the martial path. Now, they've entered the cycle of reincarnation. If I let the dragon race and the Long family go, wouldn't I be causing trouble for myself? Heavenly Dao, every grievance has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. This is a grudge between the two of you. If you implicate the Long family and the dragon race, it'll be a bit of a disaster. Not giving the Heavenly Dao a chance to speak, Long Batian continued, although I have no relationship with the Long family, the God Diviner just said that no matter who it is, the situation of the continent cannot be changed. The God Diviner continued, Heavenly Dao, Long Batian is correct. The grudge between the two of you should not implicate the other. HMPH. Without saying anything else, the Heavenly Dao turned and vanished. The God Diviner and Long Batian looked at each other. They could see a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes. The Heavenly Dao still isn't confident. Otherwise, it would have attacked just now. The God Diviner nodded in agreement. That's why I'm doing my best to nurture the Longao. I hope that he can grow stronger as soon as possible to counter the Heavenly Dao. Aoa is only a sovereign. If he wants to reach our level, it'll take him at least 10,000 years. I've already thought about this. Once his cultivation base breaks through to the Nirvana realm, I'll bring him to that place. Of course, Long Batian knew exactly where Master God Diviner was referring to, and that was why he was so surprised. Isn't it a bit too early? There's no way around it. We can't wait any longer. I hope the Longao doesn't disappoint me. Speaking of which, have you really decided to leave? Yes. You should know that once you're discovered, the consequences will be unimaginable. It might even implicate the Martial Heaven continent. It's better to wait a bit longer. I can't wait any longer. The God Diviner didn't say anything else. Just like that, the two of them remained silent in the Crystal Palace. As for the Heavenly Tao, he stood outside the Crystal Palace, seemingly able to see the two of them inside. He sneered and emitted killing intent. God Diviner, Long Batian, I'll let you live for a few more days. Once I'm done with my mission, I'll kill you. At that time, I'll be the ruler of the Martial Heaven continent. Ha 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 ha. Author's note, everyone, let's count our votes so that our rankings can rise a bit. Chapter 1076. Dragon Sect. In a hidden seal at the back of the mountain. Kang Yi, I've treated you well. Why did you betray me and help the Long family? Kang Yi betrayed the Fire Qilin at the critical moment. The shocking sword that Longao had released earlier had instantly killed over 100 great emperor martial artists. However, only the Fire Qilin remained. Ha ha ha, Longao, don't ask me why. I'm just following orders. You just have to remember one thing, I can't help myself. Crack. As soon as the Fire Qilin Kang Yi finished speaking, his body slowly collapsed. Then, his body exploded and disappeared without a trace. In the end, Kang Yi chose to commit suicide. Can't help himself? The Fire Qilin's words had a hidden meaning. Longao was not a fool. Of course, he could hear the endless helplessness in his words. Following orders, can't help himself. Could it be the immemorial Qilin? Longao knew very well that the immemorial Qilin and the immemorial Divine Dragon were existences of the same era. They were probably existences that were infinitely close to the peak of martial arts. If this was the immemorial Qilin's doing, then things would be troublesome. Boom! A loud sound echoed throughout the world. The entire 9 states continent shook violently as if a huge earthquake had occurred. Everyone in the 9 states continent was completely shocked. They all looked at the 9 heavens, not knowing what had happened. Red clouds covered the sky. The entire 9 heavens looked like burning clouds. It was like boiling water. Father, what's going on? Feeling the earthquake and the burning clouds in the 9 heavens, everyone in the dragon sect was shocked. Long Yi asked in surprise. Long Haosha shook his head and said, it's a miracle. It seems like something big is going to happen in the 9 states continent. Everyone looked at Longao. In the dragon sect, Longao was a godlike existence. He was also the strongest person in the dragon sect. However, Longao also shook his head, indicating that he did not know. Not only the dragon sect, but even the Nether Mansion, Imperial City, and Level 3 Longao were shocked. They did not know what had happened in the 9 states continent. Because for so many years, nothing like this had ever happened. In the 9 heavens, Heavenly Tao's true body stood at the peak of the void, coldly looking down at everything with a strange expression. Master God Diviner, Long Batian, let's see how you're going to take this. Just as the Heavenly Tao finished speaking, a voice sounded between heaven and earth. The Heavenly Path Mountain has descended. No matter who it is, as long as they can obtain the Heavenly Path Seal, not only will they be able to sense the Heavenly Path martial techniques within the Heavenly Path Seal, they will also be able to obtain the source energy. 10 days later, the competition will officially begin. The voice of the Heavenly Taos didn't just spread throughout the 9 provinces. Even on the Martial Heaven continent, everyone heard it. Everyone who heard the voice turned pale with fright and were pleasantly surprised. Many people knew very well what the Heavenly Tao meant. As the strongest expert in the Tianwu continent, a supreme existence that had stepped onto the peak of the martial path, the martial skills that the Heavenly Tao possessed were extremely powerful. As for the power of origin, 99% of the people did not know about it. However, many super experts knew about it, especially those who were infinitely close to the peak of martial arts. They were only a step away. For example, Tong Tiendi, Long Batian, Murong Guena, and the others. As long as they could absorb the power of origin, then there would definitely be someone among them who could reach the peak of the martial path. All of a sudden, everyone became excited. The heavenly Dao mountain descended on the 9 provinces Tianju. It wasn't too far from Longao Peak, but it wasn't too close either. The 9 provinces were divided into 9 provinces. They were the Tianju, Earth Prefecture, Sun Prefecture, Moon Prefecture, Setting Sun Prefecture, Cloud Prefecture, Crimson Prefecture, Illusion Prefecture, and Black Forest Prefecture. Longao Peak, Dragon Sect, Palace. Longao and the others also heard the heavenly Dao's voice. Other than being pleasantly surprised, the others were also pleasantly surprised. Only Longao's expression was extremely grave. That was because he was very clear on what kind of person the heavenly Dao was. This is an extremely rare opportunity. Are you prepared to participate? Longhaosha already knew of the heavenly Dao's existence. It was precisely because of this that the heavenly Dao possessed the heavenly Dao martial skills. Once Aoa obtained them, wouldn't Aoa's strength explosively increase? However, Longhaosha was also very worried. With the descent of the heavenly Dao mountain, there would definitely be many people wanting to obtain the heavenly Dao martial skills and core energy. Aoa might be powerful, but was it possible for him to contend against all the experts of the martial heaven continent? How could Longao not know what his grandfather was worried about? Grandfather, I still haven't decided. Longao's heart was in a mess. He didn't say anything else. He returned to his courtyard alone and began to quietly think. Why had the heavenly Dao suddenly acted like this? Longao. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared, Longao immediately stood up. He was very surprised and said, "Senior Divine Mathematician, why are you here?" The person who had just appeared was the God Diviner. He had also reached the peak of the martial path, and his strength was above the heavenly Dao's. Not only that, but his divine divination Dao was incomparably powerful. It could be said that the God Diviner was the #1 expert of the martial heaven continent. Longao had never imagined that the God Diviner would suddenly appear here. Was it for the heavenly Dao's? As he had expected. Longao, you should have heard what the heavenly Dao's said just now, right? Longao nodded. He didn't say anything, because he still wasn't sure why the God Diviner had come this time. In fact, he didn't even know if the heavenly Dao's and the God Diviner were friends or foes. Who knew if the God Diviner was just using him? I don't know why the heavenly Dao's are doing this, but Longao, I hope you can participate in the descent of the heavenly Dao mountain. As long as you obtain the heavenly Dao martial skills and core energy, I can help you reach the peak of the martial path in the future. Longao didn't feel the slightest bit of joy. He still didn't know if the God Diviner was a friend or foe. Senior God Diviner, according to my original intentions, I don't want to participate in the struggle for the heavenly Dao mountain. I trust that you know what core energy represents. If nothing unexpected happens, there will be many experts coming this time. With my current strength, it's impossible for me to obtain the heavenly Dao martial skills, let alone the core energy. Longao was very clear that Long Di Tian and the others would not care about the heaven path martial skills. As for the source energy, the meaning was different. In order to fight for the source energy, he believed that the strongest experts in the continent would all rush over to fight for it. Longao didn't have the confidence to obtain the heavenly Dao martial skills and core energy in the hands of so many experts. Longao, don't worry about that. When the heavenly Dao mountain descends, I'll help you. The divine mathematician smiled mysteriously. Then, after a while, 2 spirit beasts appeared beside him. Longao's complexion changed as he felt the powerful aura emitted from the 2 spirit beasts. Author's note, I'm resting today. 3 chapters have been delivered. Tomorrow, I'll have a small eruption. At the very least, I'll start with 6 chapters. I slept in the morning and will probably wake up very late. Don't rush me. Little 9 will do his best to update as soon as possible. Chapter 1077. Senior God Diviner. These are. The two spirit beasts in front of Longao had strange appearances. They looked like a dragon, a tiger, and a Chileen. Their mouths were especially huge. Longao, these two weeping soul beasts can help you obtain everything in the heavenly Dao mountain. Many thanks, Senior. If he said he didn't want such a temptation, he would be lying. Longao could clearly sense that these two weeping soul beasts were on the same level as Tong Tiendi. In other words, they were existences infinitely close to the peak of the martial path. With these weeping soul beasts, wouldn't he be able to dominate the continent? Longao, once the heavenly Dao mountain is over, these two weeping soul beasts will return. Fuck. He cursed inside. So he was just lending them to him for a few days. Longao was depressed to the extreme. However, these two weeping soul beasts belonged to the God Diviner, and he had no right to interfere. However, Longao was still satisfied. With the help of these two weeping soul beasts, he was completely confident that he would be able to obtain the heavenly Dao martial skills and core energy. Senior, there's something I don't understand. I want to ask you. Please speak. The God Diviner was very courteous. If the heavenly Daos were here, it was unknown what they would think. Senior God Diviner, I trust you've already sensed that my bloodline has been sealed by a mysterious energy. It was rare for Longao to meet the God Diviner. Naturally, he would ask about the seal. Even if the God Diviner hadn't come, Longao had already decided that once he was done with the Long family's matter, he would go to the Crystal Palace in the Outer Sea to find the God Diviner. Longao was very clear that perhaps only the God Diviner could give him an answer on the martial heaven continent. This was a rare opportunity, so he naturally wouldn't give it up so easily. The God Diviner didn't seem the slightest bit surprised. It seemed he already knew about this. Longao, I can't tell you about the seal on your bloodline for now. However, I can guarantee that once your cultivation base breaks through to the Nirvana realm, I'll tell you. What do you think? Again, he wasn't qualified. Apparently, Master God Diviner and the others didn't think he was strong enough. Longao knew that if Master God Diviner didn't want to talk, then no matter how many times he asked, he wouldn't say anything. The godly mathematician didn't give Longao a chance to ask any more questions. He turned around and disappeared. The two weeping soul beasts also disappeared, but Longao already knew how to command them. Grandpa, I'm going to Heavenly Dao Mountain. In the main hall. Hearing his grandson's decision, Long Haosha wasn't surprised at all. He had already guessed that his grandson would make such a decision because he knew his grandson too well. It would be strange if he didn't go. He did not try to dissuade him. Long Haosha said in support, Grandpa won't say anything. I just hope that you can protect yourself well. This time, there are many experts in Heavenly Path Mountain. No matter what happens, your life is the most important. Do you understand? Understood, Grandpa. I know what to do. After speaking to his grandfather, Longao chatted with his mother and father. In the entire dragon sect, the only person who knew that Longao was going to Heavenly Dao Mountain was Long Haosha. As for the others, no one knew. Longao's meaning was very simple. He didn't want this news to be leaked. The Heavenly Dao Mountain's descent had shaken the entire martial heaven continent. Everyone wanted to obtain the Heavenly Dao martial skills of the Heavenly Daos, as well as their core energy. In just 10 days, everyone began to move. This time, it wasn't just the ordinary disciples who were rushing to the 9 provinces Tianju. Even the strongest people were coming. It could be said that the descent of the Heavenly Dao Mountain had attracted all the experts of the martial heaven continent. It was easy to imagine how shocking the Heavenly Dao's actions were. This time, Longao hadn't gone to the Heavenly Dao Mountain with his true appearance. Instead, he had disguised himself and changed his aura. That way, very few people would be able to recognize him. According to the Heavenly Daos, the Heavenly Dao Mountain had already descended. However, the competition would only start in 10 days. How could Longao not know what the Heavenly Daos meant? 10 days was simply not enough for an ordinary cultivator to rush from the martial heaven continent to the 9 provinces. However, for the experts of the martial heaven continent, such as Tong Tiendi and the others, not to mention 10 days, they would only need a few hours to reach the 9 provinces. However, Longao was still oversimplifying things. The temptation of the heavenly Dao mountain was too great. Practically all the powers had rushed over. Under normal circumstances, ordinary cultivators wouldn't be able to reach the 9 provinces in 10 days. However, everyone could use the transportation formation. That way, 10 days would be enough. Heavenly Dao Mountain. Continent of the 9 continents, Tianju. A towering mountain had appeared on the originally flat ground. At a glance, one couldn't see the end of it. It was as if the mountain was connected to the 9 heavens. It was a spectacular sight. The surroundings of the heavenly Dao mountain were quiet. There wasn't a single person in sight. However, anyone with a discerning eye could tell that the heavenly Dao mountain was currently filled with people. It was just that they had hidden themselves very well. If the heavenly Dao mountain didn't start, no one would be willing to be the first to show themselves. Longao had already arrived at the heavenly Dao mountain. However, he didn't go near it. Now that he had changed, even if his enemies were in front of him, they wouldn't be able to recognize him. The 10 great tripods were all present. Even the 10 master and the various elders were present. It seemed like everyone wanted to fight for the heavenly Dao mountains, heavenly Dao martial technique and the so-called source energy. Shangguan Iye. Looking at the headquarters of the Martial Artists Alliance in the distance, Longao sneered. He had already guessed that the Martial Artists Alliance would definitely come to the heavenly Dao mountain this time. Not only Tong Tiendi and Tang Hao, but even Shangguan Iye would be no exception. If it was before, Longao would definitely not act rashly. After all, Shangguan Iye's strength was obvious. A Nirvana realm martial artist was already a top-notch existence in the Tianwu continent. However, the situation was completely different now. With the 2 weeping soul beasts given by the clairvoyant, Longao had full confidence that it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill Shangguan Iye. This time, Longao had already decided that no matter what happened, he had to kill Shangguan Iye and the others. Otherwise, if he didn't remove the roots when cutting the weeds, they would grow again when the spring breeze blew. Half of the 10 days had passed. In other words, there were only 5 days left before the heavenly Dao mountain officially started. At that time, all the experts would enter the heavenly Dao mountain. At that time, corpses would be everywhere and rivers of blood would be unavoidable. Why did the heavenly Dao do this? After all, in the eyes of the heavenly Dao, these people were no different from ants. Why did it do this? Chapter 1078. The Deputy Chief of the Martial Artists Alliance, Shanghai Iye. The Sword Sect's Deacon Elder, Lu Changsheng. The Grand Elder of the Dragon Tribe, Long Hang. Longao had decided to kill the 3 of them while he had the 2 powerful weeping soul beasts with him during the heavenly Dao mountain's arrival this time so that they would not cause trouble for him in the future. Opportunities were always left to those who were determined. Longao had always remembered a sentence, and that was, being merciful to the enemy was being cruel to oneself. The first person he would deal with was the Martial Artists Alliance's Deputy Chief, Shanghai Iye. As a Nirvana martial artist, Shanghai Iye's ability was the biggest threat to him. Time passed by bit. In the blink of an eye, 4 days had passed. The heavenly Dao mountain's battle would officially begin tomorrow. By then, countless people would rush into the heavenly Dao mountain. It would be a lie to say that he was not worried and fearful. Longao was no exception. Although he had the help of the 2 weeping soul beasts, Longao was still a little worried. It was better to be safe than sorry. On Longao's peak, Yi Wushuang was still looking for Longao. Even the arrival of the heavenly Dao mountain did not attract Yi Wushuang's attention. Yi Wushuang knew that the heavenly Dao mountain's arrival this time was actually a matter for the super powerhouses. To them, it was not essential. Apart from wasting time, they might even lose their lives. As for Longao, he initially wanted to fight Yi Wushuang. However, After some thought, he decided to give up in the end. Although Yi Wushuang was only a divine Dao martial artist, he was also a divine Dao formation master. Others might not know what a divine Dao formation master meant, but how could Longao not know? Longao did not want to waste any time, so he planned to deal with the heavenly Dao mountain first before dealing with Yi Wushuang. Since the marvelous mathematician would not recall the two weeping soul beasts immediately, dealing with Yi Wushuang was a piece of cake. Everyone was waiting for the heavenly Dao mountain to open. In the 9 heavens, Long Batian looked down at the heavenly path mountain with a grave expression. He still didn't know what the heavenly path meant by doing this. Why would the heavenly Dao mountain descend all of a sudden? Oracle, what does the heavenly Dao want? Shaking his head, Master God Diviner said helplessly, as my injuries continue to worsen, my Dao of divination is slowly deteriorating. I can no longer divine what the Dao of heaven wants. They were in big trouble now. Long Batian sighed heavily in his heart. Under such circumstances, who could stop the heavenly Dao? It seems that the heavenly Dao is still not completely confident. It wants to use the heavenly Dao mountain to test us. What do you mean? Looking down at Heaven Dao Mountain, Master God Diviner said, the Dao of heaven made a breakthrough, and became much stronger. However, it wasn't completely confident that it could defeat the two of us. That's why the Dao of heaven set up Heaven Dao Mountain to test our strength. Once it's fully confident, the Dao of heaven will intervene. Long Batian nodded in response to Master God Diviner's words. So, no matter what happens, we must not do anything. I'm worried that the heavenly Dao will act recklessly. If it destroys the 10-directional cauldron and re-establish the power structure of the continent, it won't do the martial heaven continent any good. We can't worry about anything else. However, there's one thing I'm certain of. As long as we don't do anything, the heavenly Dao won't dare to act recklessly. On the other side of the sky, standing at the peak of the clouds, the heavenly Dao sneered. He could clearly sense the existence of Long Batian and the heavenly Dao. It was just as Master God Diviner had said. The heavenly Dao's cultivation base had increased, and his strength had soared. However, he still wasn't certain if he could contend against the two of them. After all, he had no choice but to summon the heavenly Dao mountain and draw them out. That way, he would have some confidence. As for destroying the 10-directional cauldron and re-establishing the power structure of the continent, the heavenly Dao hadn't thought about that yet. At the very least, he wouldn't do such a thing without killing the two of them. The heavenly Dao mountain has officially opened. The heavenly Dao's sure-kill skill and core energy are within the heavenly Dao mountain. No matter who finds it, the others can fight over it. Once you leave the heavenly Dao mountain, you can't fight over it for 3 days. Otherwise, you'll be killed. The heavenly Dao's voice resounded throughout the world. No matter who it was, they could hear it clearly. Everyone was pleasantly surprised. The heavenly Dao mountain was finally opening. As for the rules set down by the heavenly Dao, no one dared to violate them. They would be killed. In the entire martial heaven continent, there was no one capable of contending against the heavenly Daos. In everyone's eyes, the heavenly Daos were supreme existences. As expected. As soon as the heavenly Dao's words faded, the heavenly Dao mountain began to shine with golden light. The terrifying Qi barrier around it vanished without a trace. Everyone was pleasantly surprised. Without the slightest hesitation, they shot toward the heavenly Dao mountain. No one attacked. The heavenly Dao had clearly stated that no fighting was allowed outside the heavenly Dao mountain. As for those who entered the heavenly Dao mountain, life and death were up to the heavens. Countless people surged into the heavenly Dao mountain. At a glance, there was a sea of people. There were people everywhere. They were so densely packed that they looked like endless ants. Longao didn't take action immediately. He looked around coldly and stared at Shangguan Yi. Once he entered the heavenly Dao mountain, he had to make use of this opportunity to get rid of Shangguan Yi. He had to get rid of all his troubles. He didn't know how many people had arrived. After 10 minutes, there were still many people entering the heavenly Dao mountain. There was an endless stream of people. Longao didn't continue waiting. He knew very well that most of the people who had just entered the Heavenly Dao Mountain were experts. After all, the weak wouldn't dare to be the spearhead. There was no point in continuing to wait. As for Shangguan, he had already locked onto her aura. Longao sneered. He took a big stride forward and dashed out. Longao's speed was too fast. In the blink of an eye, he had already disappeared from the Heavenly Dao Mountain. From the outside, the Heavenly Dao Mountain looked ordinary. However, after entering the Heavenly Dao Mountain, Longao realized that something was wrong. He thought that there was a very strange and mysterious force in the Heavenly Dao Mountain that was circulating in the air. As soon as he stepped into the Heavenly Dao Mountain, Longao didn't hesitate at all. He immediately shot toward the aura that he had locked onto. Inside the Heavenly Dao Mountain, there were barren hills and forests everywhere. It was strange. The countless people who had just entered the Heavenly Dao Mountain seemed to have disappeared all of a sudden. They were scattered everywhere. It seemed that the Heavenly Dao Mountain was too big. It was a little too big. Longao didn't care about the others. He shot toward Shangguan as fast as he could. However, what made Longao feel helpless was that Shangguan had come with the Alliance Master, Tong Tiendi. Not only had the Alliance Master of the Martial Artists Alliance come personally, but even the 8 Vice Alliance Masters had entered the Heavenly Dao Mountain at the same time. With such terrifying power, if they were discovered, the consequences would be unimaginable. Chapter 1079. Longao was almost certain. The leader of the Martial Artists Alliance, Tong Tiendi, and the 8 deputy leaders, including Shangguan and Tang Hao, were all Nirvana realm martial artists. Shangguan was only a deputy leader, but he was a Nirvana realm martial artist. It was not hard to imagine how powerful the other 7 deputy leaders were. As for the leader, Tong Tiendi, Longao knew very well that he should be infinitely close to the peak of martial arts. He did not dare to act rashly. In the distance, the 8 of you split up and search. Remember, if there is any trouble or if you find what we are looking for, inform the others immediately. Leader, we understand. After that, the 8 deputy leaders left in different directions. Shangguan face was very serious because he had a feeling that something was going to happen. He didn't know why, but he felt that something was going to happen. A bad premonition arose spontaneously. This time, the Martial Artists Alliance did not bring many people. There were only about 100 of them. Tong Tiendi was not a fool. He knew very well that the Tianju Mountain was a competition between experts. No matter how many disciples came, it would be useless. Not only the Martial Artists Alliance, but also the other 9 superforces were in the same situation. There was a sea of people. 90% of the people were from other small forces. They wanted to get a share of the loot. After all, the Tianju Mountain mainly depended on luck. Strength was secondary. The 10 people behind Shangguan were all Supreme Realm martial artists. With such strength, no one could compete with Shangguan unless the other 9 superforces made a move. But at this moment, a terrifying attack came. Before Shangguan could figure out what was going on, 2 spirit beasts as big as hills appeared. The 2 weeping soul beasts launched the fiercest attack as soon as they appeared. Dozens of Supreme Realm martial artists were killed by the 2 weeping soul beasts without any chance to resist. Seeing this, Shangguan did not dare to be careless. He turned around and prepared to leave. But would Longao give Shangguan a chance? The answer was definitely no. The 2 weeping soul beasts attacked from both sides, not giving Shangguan any chance to escape. 1 against 2. In just 3 moves, Shangguan was gradually losing ground. According to this situation, Shangguan would definitely die. However, Longao was still too anxious. If he could wait for another hour, he believed that Shangguan would not be able to escape death this time. In the end, Shangguan was still lucky. 8 terrifying forces descended at the same time. Tong Tiendi led the other 7 Vice Alliance Masters over quickly. Their auras were felt even before they arrived. With the 8 of them working together, and with the addition of Shanghai there would be 9 of them working together. Their power was not to be underestimated. Just a moment ago, it was still 1 against 2, but now it was 9 against 2. Even if the 2 weeping soul beasts were strong, it was impossible for them to defeat Tong Tiandi's group of 9. Shangguan Yi cursed in his heart. Longao never expected that Tong Tiendi and the others would return. In this case, it seemed impossible to kill Shangguan Yi with the help of the weeping soul beasts. Since that was the case, what was the point of staying? Longao made a prompt decision and called back the 2 weeping soul beasts. Without giving them any chance, he immediately teleported and disappeared from the spot. After stepping into Heavenly Path Mountain, Longao had already decided that no matter what happened, he would not communicate with Long Fu. Xiling and Bai Ling would also not enter the Dragon Seal space. After all, Heavenly Path Mountain was the territory of the Heavenly Path. Once the Heavenly Path sensed the Dragon Seal space or the existence of Bai Ling and Xiling, the consequences would be unimaginable. Alliance leader Shangguan, what exactly happened? Shangguan Yi shook his head. Even now, he still had lingering fear. He didn't know why those 2 powerful divine beasts would suddenly attack him. If it wasn't for the arrival of the Alliance Master and the others, he would have been killed. Alliance leader, I also do not know what happened. All 10 disciples were killed. It seems like, Shangguan Yi pointed upwards. His meaning was very clear. Tong Tiendi and the others were not fools. Of course, they understood the meaning of Shangguan Yi's words. Other than the Heavenly Path, it seemed that no one would be so bored as to provoke the Martial Artists Alliance. Even the other 9 superforces would not do so. Why did he do this? Who knew? As the most powerful person in the Tianwu continent, no one could guess what the Heavenly Path was thinking. No matter who did this, it will end here. Our main goal is to find the Heavenly Path's ultimate skill and the origin energy. The 8 deputy alliance leaders nodded. The 8 of them knew that the alliance leader did not dare to pursue the matter because he was afraid of the Heavenly Path's strength. With the Heavenly Path's strength, not to mention dealing with the Martial Artists Alliance, it would only take a few minutes for him to destroy the 10 Forces Alliance. This was the strength of the Heavenly Path. In the distance, Longao's expression was very ugly as he watched the Martial Artists Alliance members gradually disappear. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but he had wasted it just like that. Longao knew very well that after this, Shangguan Yi would not be alone. In this way, the difficulty of killing Shangguan Yi would increase exponentially. Longao's balls were hurting to the extreme. Longao, the Heavenly Path's descent of the Heavenly Path Mountain this time has nothing to do with you. Take this opportunity to find the ultimate skill and the origin energy. No matter which one it is, it will be of great help to you. Understood. How could Longao not know what Xiling had said? He was interested in the Heavenly Path's ultimate skill, but to be honest, he was not very interested in the origin energy. According to Longao, there were many types of origin energy. Only by finding the origin energy that was suitable for him would he be able to reach the peak of martial arts. Because of this, he did not keep the origin energy that he had obtained previously. However, no matter what, he could not use it, but it did not mean that others could not. Taking a step back, the origin energy could help the Dragon Seal space recover. Why would he not want it? Longao, to be honest, my sister and I really need the origin energy. However, the origin energy of the Tianwu continent is controlled by the Heavenly Path, and we are unable to obtain it. Therefore, we have to rely on you this time. I hope that you can help us. So that was it. Longao was very puzzled. Why would Xiling remind him out of the blue? It turned out that he wanted him to help the 2 of them. Longao did not hesitate at all. At the same time that he agreed, he was also very clear about Xiling's concerns. No matter what, the Heavenly Path's strength was obvious. Once the Heavenly Path discovered the existence of Xiling and Bai Ling, it would definitely use all kinds of methods to obtain the 2 Genling. With the strength of Xiling and Bai Ling, they could only sit and wait for death. Xiling, can you sense where the Heavenly Path's ultimate skill and the origin energy are hidden? Chapter 1080. It was not easy to find the Heavenly Dao Shorkill skill and origin energy in Heavenly Dao Mountain. It was far from enough to rely on his own strength. Longao, I'll try to sense it. Give me some time. He nodded. Longao didn't ask any more questions. He knew that even Xiling had to be careful. Once he was sensed by Tiandao, Xiling would end up dead. Longao didn't give up easily after failing to kill Shangguan Yi. He didn't believe that he couldn't find a chance. Just like that, Longao followed the Martial Artists Alliance, looking for a chance. Senior sister, Master didn't let us come. If he finds out, we'll be in big trouble. Tongling didn't seem worried at all. With Tongling status, she could disregard almost everyone except for her master. Ling come with me to Longao's peak after we finish at Tiandao Mountain. Tongling was a little jealous, but she still agreed with a smile. Senior sister, since you can't forget Longao, why didn't you see him before? Tongling couldn't figure it out. She thought her senior sister was being superfluous. Ling there are some things you don't understand. Who? Yu Yin's face suddenly changed. She looked ahead cautiously. Ling also became nervous. After all, this wasn't the Martial Artists Alliance, but Tiandao Mountain. At this moment, Tiandao Mountain was full of danger and powerhouses. Yu Yin, you don't have to be like this. Both Yu Yin and Ling were surprised to see the young man in front of them. Brother She, why are you here? It was none other than She Potian from the Wan Shou sect. As everyone knew, She Potian was one of Yu Yin's suitors. However, the Wan Shou sect and the Martial Artists Alliance were two different forces. It seemed difficult for She Potian to pursue Yu Yin. She Potian and Tongling were very close. He smiled. She Potian looked at Yu Yin with love in his eyes. Anyone who wasn't a fool could see it. The Heavenly Dao Mountain has descended. I also want to come and take a look. Tongling stuck out her tongue in disbelief. Why do you have to come up with so many excuses for your senior's sake? Chem. Sensing the invisible aura emitted from She Potian's body, Ling cried out in alarm. Big brother She, have you made a breakthrough? I was just lucky. Showing off. Ling was truly happy for She Potian. Both of them were very clear about She Potian's strength. If he continued to break through, he would have already smoothly reached the peak of the Supreme Divine Tao, and he was only a step away from officially advancing to the Rebirth Realm. What kind of concept was that? Looks like you ought to be able to break through to the Rebirth Realm in less than 3 years. Senior sister, are you talking about brother She? Tongling seemed to be a little surprised because she knew very well what it meant to break through to the Nirvana realm from the peak of the Supreme Tao in a year's time. Even so, this kind of cultivation speed was enough to look down on all of the younger generation in the Sky Martial continent. Even that abnormal long bow from the Long family could not compare to She Potian. This kind of cultivation speed was too frightening. Yu Yin, your cultivation speed is also very good. With the full support of the Martial Artists Alliance, I believe that in less than a year, you will reach the Supreme Divine Tao, and in less than 3 years, you will also be able to break through to the Nirvana realm. Rolling her eyes, Tongling said helplessly, I beg the two of you, stop praising each other here. I really can't stand you two. She Potian smiled embarrassedly. At this moment, if other people knew what She Potian was thinking, who knew what they would think? Yu Yin, Ling the Heavenly Path ultimate skill is very useful to us. As for the origin energy, remember, no matter what happens, even if we obtain it, we must not touch it, understand? They nodded. Whether it was Ling or Yu Yin, they were very clear about She Potian's meaning. Although the Heavenly Path ultimate skill was powerful, for super experts, it was not necessary to risk their lives to obtain it. After all, they had the backing of the Martial Artists Alliance and the Wan Shou sect behind them. As one of the top 10 forces, how many people in the Sky Martial continent dared to provoke the Martial Artists Alliance and the Wan Shou sect? However, the origin energy had a completely different meaning. The origin energy was the most powerful energy in the world, and it was also the key to reaching the peak of martial arts. For the source strength, what bullshit Martial Artist Alliance, what bullshit Wan Shou sect, they were all bullshit in front of the source strength. Especially for super experts who were infinitely close to reaching the peak of martial arts, in order to obtain the origin energy, they could even throw away their lives, become enemies with the heavenly path, and become enemies with the whole world. This was the temptation of the origin energy, and it was irresistible. Big Brother Shi, if we are lucky enough to obtain the heavenly path ultimate skill, will you give it to us? It had to be said that Ling'er was really bold. If it was an ordinary person, would they dare to speak to Shapotian like this? The heavenly path ultimate skill was probably the peak of martial arts. Such a powerful martial art, as long as one was a warrior, would want to obtain it. Even Shapotian was no exception. If it was only Ling'er, even if they had a good relationship, Shapotian would not give the heavenly path ultimate skill to her. However, the situation was completely different now. Ling'er had Yu Yin, a girl Shapotian liked, and a girl Shapotian wanted very much. Don't worry, as long as I can obtain the heavenly path ultimate skill, the three of us can practice it together. If not, I will give it to you. Be careful. Shocked, Shapotian's face became very serious because over 100 black wolf had suddenly appeared around them. Moon howling heavenly wolf, over 100 divine beasts, and one of them was a supreme divine beast. This kind of strength was more than enough to deal with the three of them. Big Brother Shi, follow behind me. How could Shapotian not know the origin of the 100 moon howling heavenly wolves that suddenly appeared around them? Other than the people of the WN Sho sect, who else could mobilize such powerful divine beasts? Someone wanted to kill him. Who was it? He did not dare to be careless, because at this moment, the 100 moon howling heavenly wolves suddenly began to attack at the same time. The power of their combined attack was not to be underestimated. With Shapotian's strength, he could ignore other divine beasts, but Ling'er and Yu Yin were different. Especially Ling'er, who was only a titled Great Emperor. Any random moon howling heavenly wolf could easily kill Ling'er. That was exactly the case. Shapotian took out the WN Sho token and prepared to command the moon howling heavenly wolves to leave. The result? The WAN Sho token was useless. It could not command the moon howling heavenly wolves. Shapotian's face became more serious because he already knew that the person who wanted to deal with him was not simple in the WAN Sho sect. Chapter 1081. Big Brother Shi, what should we do now? Kill our way out. The 10,000 beast token was useless, and Shapotian became anxious. Protecting the two of them, Shapotian released a powerful aura that enveloped the four directions. Even so, Ling'er and Yu Yin were still pushed away by the powerful attacks. Shapotian was entangled by the divine beast, and it was almost impossible for him to save them. Ling'er, follow me closely. Yu Yin knew very well that under such circumstances, the two of them could only rely on themselves. Yu Yin's strength was considered strong, but it was easy to imagine the result if she wanted to fight against 100 divine beasts. Ling'er was helpless against the attacks of 100 divine beasts. Crack! Ling'er and Yu Yin finally couldn't hold on anymore and were attacked by the moon-howling heavenly wolves. The two of them resisted bitterly, but they could be killed at any time. Senior sister. If we leave together. If we die together. Ling'er was very touched, and she swallowed back the words she wanted to say. Yu Yin and Ling'er had already chosen to give up, because there were moon-howling heavenly wolves all around them, and Shapotian was entangled by the divine beast. Even if they continued to resist, it would be useless. In the nick of time. In a moment of life and death. 100 Zhonglong sword chi flashed past, and before the two of them could figure out what was going on, Longao descended like a god of war. Senior sister, who is this person? Looking at the black-clothed young man who suddenly appeared in front of her, Yu Yin's body trembled for some reason. Others definitely wouldn't recognize him, but Yu Yin was different. Longao. Longao. Hearing her senior sister call out Longao's name, Ling'er sighed helplessly. It seemed like senior sister really missed Longao too much. She could still be like this in this situation. Longao was only a purple-grade great emperor. Not to mention fighting against 100 divine beasts, He didn't even have the slightest chance of winning in a one-on-one situation. For Yu Yin, Longao was not afraid of any danger. Longao fiercely dodged all the moon-howling heavenly wolves around him with a single slash. He grabbed Yu Yin's hand, and she grabbed Yu Yin's hand. Just like that, Longao forcefully used spatial teleportation, and the three of them instantly disappeared. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible for Longao to teleport with the two of them. If he did, he would suffer a backlash from teleporting, and the consequences would be unimaginable. However, in this moment of life and death, Longao couldn't care about anything else. Within the heavenly Dao mountain, under a very secluded tree. "Thank you. Who are you?" Ignoring Ling Longao and Yu Yin looked at each other. Just like that, they stared at each other. Neither of them said anything. They just looked at each other. The two of them looked at each other, causing Ling to feel very helpless. She did not know what the two of them meant. "Yu Yin, how are you?" Hearing the two words Yu Yin's body trembled violently. "Longao, is that really you?" Seeing Longao nod, Yu Yin could no longer control herself. She directly threw herself into his arms and cried loudly. It was only at this moment that Lingao realized that the person who had just saved them was her senior sister's lover, Longao. With a deep sigh, Lingao walked to the side and silently looked at the two of them. She felt sour in her heart. "You must be lying if you say you're not jealous." After hugging for a full hour, the two of them reluctantly separated. The two of them slowly told each other what had happened to them. "Yu Yin, you can continue to stay in the Martial Artists Alliance and cultivate. When I have enough strength, I will definitely pick you up personally. At that time, I will tell the world that you, Wang Yu Yin, are my woman." Linga nodded. "How could Yu Yin not know about this?" "I know. I will work hard to cultivate. According to my master and the alliance leader, I will be able to reach the supreme divine path in at most a year. As for the Nirvana realm, I don't know." She was a little shocked. Yu Yin's cultivation speed, even in the entire Sky Martial continent, was one of the top existences. Longao could clearly sense Yu Yin's strength at this moment. She was in the supreme divine path. In just a few years, Yu Yin had already reached the supreme divine path. Her cultivation speed was even faster than his. Longao knew that although Yu Yin had the entire Martial Artists Alliance as her backing, her own talent was also extremely powerful. The Nirvana realm. If that was the case, Longao wanted Yu Yin to stay in the Martial Artists Alliance even more. As long as Yu Yin reached the Nirvana realm, there would be very few people in the Tianwu continent who could hurt Yu Yin. "Yu Yin, the Heavenly Path Mountain is not a place where you can come. Listen to me. Leave now and return to the Martial Artists Alliance." If other people said this, Yu Yin would definitely not leave. She would even choose to ignore them. As for Longao, Yu Yin was very obedient. She said very gently, "Be careful. I will wait for you at the Martial Artists Alliance. Don't worry. I will do it. And I won't let you wait for too long." Yu Yin stood up and did not give Lingao any chance to speak. She pulled Lingao and left. Lingao was extremely depressed. She did not even have a chance to say a word to Longao. However, she did not want to hurt her senior sister. Just like that, Yu Yin and Lingao gradually left and disappeared without a trace. After sending off Yu Yin and Lingao, Longao finally let out a sigh of relief. The Heavenly Path Mountain was full of dangers. The slightest carelessness could cost one's life. If something really happened to Yu Yin, he really did not know what to do. Clenching his fists tightly, Longao looked at the gradually disappearing figures. He secretly told himself that no matter what happened, he had to quickly improve his strength. Without strength, not to mention his own safety, Yu Yin alone would not be able to go to the Martial Artists Alliance to take away his beloved. Strength. It was still strength. After seeing Yu Yin this time, Longao was even more certain of the path he was going to take in the future. It was also because of this that he was determined to obtain the Heavenly Path Mountain this time. Not to mention the origin energy, just the Heavenly Path Shorekill technique alone, once he obtained it, his strength would definitely skyrocket. Seeing Yu Yin this time seemed to have stimulated Longao. However, it was impossible for him to find the secret of the Heavenly Path Mountain alone. Longao calmed down a little and continued to follow Shangguan Yi. He was waiting for an opportunity to see if he could deal with Shanghai Yi. This time, it was a coincidence. Longao had been following the Martial Artists Alliance and looking for an opportunity to deal with Shanghai Yi. However, he accidentally encountered Yu Yin and the other two who were surrounded. Longao did not save Shapotian because he could see that it was almost impossible for more than 100 moon-howling heavenly wolves to kill Shapotian. If he tried to save Shapotian by force, he would go for wool and come home shorn. Not only would he not be able to save Shapotian, but all of them would also not be able to leave. In fact, Longao was also selfish. He would not let the three of them face danger for an enemy who was not a friend. Not to mention Longao, no one would be able to do that. Chapter 1082. Inside Tiandao Mountain. Longao was looking for an opportunity with the Martial Artists Alliance while waiting for Xiling to sense the Heavenly Way's fatal skill and origin energy. The reason why Longao didn't use the two Weeping Soul Beasts was simple. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Longao wouldn't use the Weeping Soul Beasts casually. This was Tiandao Mountain, the territory of Tiandao. If Tiandao found out, wouldn't he be in trouble? With the previous example, the members of the Martial Artists Alliance didn't split up casually. This way, Longao could be considered depressed. 1 against 100, and 9 of them were Nirvana Realm warriors. Even if he had the help of the two Weeping Soul Beasts, he wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. Longao had no choice but to think of another way. Tang Hao was the breakthrough and the only breakthrough. As a result, Longao found an opportunity to lure Tang Hao out. "Who are you?" Looking at the young man in front of him, Tang Hao was very curious. He didn't know why this person was looking for him. Although he wasn't very powerful, he released the aura of heaven and earth. What did this mean? The aura of heaven and earth was unique to Nirvana Realm warriors. "Vice Leader Tang, it's me." Seeing Longao's real face, Tang Hao seemed to be a little surprised. But after thinking about it, he understood. Although Longao wasn't a Nirvana Realm warrior, he had unintentionally condensed the aura of heaven and earth. He was just wondering how such a strange thing could happen. "Longao, did you come to Tiandao Mountain for the Heavenly Way's fatal skill?" In Tang Hao's opinion, Longao wasn't qualified to compete for the origin energy. As for the Heavenly Way's fatal skill, he might be lucky enough to get it. "Vice Leader Tang, this trip to Tiandao Mountain is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me to kill Shangguan Yi. I hope you can help me. Don't worry. No one else knows about this except you and me." F***CK Hearing Longao's words, Tang Hao cursed in his heart. He glared at the young man in front of him. If it was anyone else, they would think that Longao's head had been kicked by a donkey. Who was Shangguan Yi? Shangguan Yi was not only a Nirvana Realm martial artist, but she was also the deputy chief of the Martial Artists Alliance. Both her status and strength were obvious. Not to mention Longao, even he himself might not be able to kill Shangguan Yi. Boasting shamelessly and overestimating himself. This was Tang Hao's evaluation of Longao. In the end, in Tang Hao's eyes, Longao was courting death by doing this. Regarding what Tang Hao was thinking in his heart, how could Longao not know? He sneered in his heart. "Vice Alliance Leader Tang, I've found a helper this time." Longao only summoned one Weeping Soul Beast. After all, if he summoned two Weeping Soul Beasts at the same time, it might scare Tang Hao. However, both Weeping Soul Beasts were superior divine beasts. Their strength was comparable to Shangguan Yi's. It would not be difficult for them to kill Tang Hao. As a Nirvana Realm martial artist, Tang Hao could certainly sense the powerful strength of the divine beasts in front of him. That was right. Tang Hao opened his mouth wide in disbelief. At this moment, he finally understood why Longao was so confident. It turned out that he had a plan. It was no secret that Tang Hao and Shangguan Yi did not see eye to eye. Tang Hao wanted very much to defeat Shangguan Yi, but he had never thought of killing Shangguan Yi. No matter what, a Nirvana Realm martial artist was an existence that the Martial Artists Alliance could not afford to lose. Nirvana Realm martial artists were the most powerful existences in the world. Losing one of them was one loss. Tang Hao was very serious because Longao was not the same as before. With the strength of Longao's divine beasts, it was not impossible for him to kill Shangguan Yi. Moreover, he had Tang Hao. If he helped, Shangguan Yi would die for sure, but the Martial Artists Alliance would lose a Nirvana Realm martial artist. If he did not help, Shangguan Yi would continue to cause trouble for him in the future. Help? Or not? For a moment, Tang Hao did not know what to do. Longao did not ask because he knew Tang Hao's dilemma. After all, Nirvana Realm martial artists were not cabbages that could be found on the street. In the end, it was not that Tang Hao did not want to kill Shangguan Yi, but he cared about the Martial Artists Alliance. He did not want the Martial Artists Alliance to lose a Nirvana Realm martial artist. Time passed by slowly. After a long time, Tang Hao finally raised his head and said helplessly, "Longao, I believe you know what a Nirvana Realm martial artist means to the Martial Artists Alliance. Losing a Martial Artists Alliance will be a big blow to the Martial Artists Alliance." Longao nodded. How could Longao not know what Tang Hao meant? Longao did not say anything. No matter what Tang Hao chose, he could understand. As the deputy chief of the Martial Artists Alliance, no matter what happened, Tang Hao would put the interests of the Martial Artists Alliance first. If Tang Hao agreed directly, Longao would be worried. "Longao, I can't do that. I hope you won't do it for the time being." Why? If Tang Hao did not agree, Longao would think of other ways to deal with Shangguan Yi. However, Tang Hao's intention was very clear. Was it possible for him to give up? Longao was very curious. Given the enmity between Tang Hao and Shangguan Yi, even if Tang Hao did not attack, he should not stop him. After all, it was a good thing for Tang Hao to solve a problem for him. "Longao, to be honest, in 3 years, something big will happen in the Qianwu continent. The tripod of 10 directions will be in trouble. No matter what enmity you have with Shangguan Yi, I hope you can let it go. After 3 years, I won't ask about it. I can even help you to kill Shangguan Yi. What do you think?" 3 years. It was neither a long time nor a short time. As for what would happen in 3 years, Longao didn't care at all. He only cared about one thing now, and that was how to kill Shangguan Yi and completely solve the problem for himself, so that he could cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. "Vice Alliance Leader Tang, I believe you should know that it was not me who wanted to find trouble with him. It was Shangguan Yi who refused to let me go. If it was not for Murong Master's help, I believe I would have died in Shangguan Yi's hands. I want to ask, is my life so worthless?" Tang Hao was speechless because what Longao said was the truth. In this dog-eat-dog world, it was not easy to compromise. If you did not have the strength, only death would await you. Longao was willing to let go, but would Shangguan Yi be willing to? Tang Hao believed that if he were in Shangguan Yi's shoes, he would do the same. After all, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Unless he was crazy, he would not cause any trouble for himself in the future. "Longao, I can promise you that you will leave Shangguan Yi to me. What do you think? Would it be useful to leave it to you? When he was killed by Shangguan Yi, what was the use of looking for you?" Chapter 1083. Longao didn't say anything, but his meaning was very clear. He didn't agree. What did the changes in 3 years have to do with him? If he was killed by Shangguan Yi, it would be useless to say anything. No matter what Tang Hao chose, Longao had already decided that he would take advantage of the Tiandao mountain to kill Shangguan Yi. No matter who came, he wouldn't give face to them. Tang Hao had lived for so many years. How could he not see through Longao's thoughts? He sighed deeply in his heart. No matter who it was, they wouldn't be willing to do this. Longao, even if I don't stop you, do you really think you can kill Shangguan? Deputy Chief Tang, I'll take my leave. Since Longao had already said this, he didn't continue to talk nonsense and turned to leave. Looking at the gradually disappearing figure, Tang Hao didn't say anything in the end. This was because even if he could stop Longao, he didn't know what to say. He returned to the camp. Shangguan, you'd better be careful. Hey! What did Tang Hao mean by suddenly saying this? Tang Hao. Tang Hao waved his hand and said with a look of disdain, "Don't ask me, I won't answer you." Damn it, he cursed in his heart. Shangguan was not a fool. Of course, he could sense some clues from Tang Hao's words. Could it be that someone wanted to deal with him? Tang Hao and Shangguan had always been on bad terms. If it weren't for the fact that they were wary of each other's identity and strength, they might have already started a fight. Shangguan was very careful. After all, the lesson from the previous incident was still vivid in his mind. Although he was very worried, Shangguan was also very confident. As long as he didn't fall behind and followed the chief, with the 9 of them working together, he wouldn't be worried at all. As long as it wasn't Tiandao himself, no matter who it was. Brother Shangguan, what happened? Looking at Shangguan in front of him, Tong Tiendi asked curiously. Alliance Master, earlier, Brother Tang. Without the slightest concealment, Shangguan recounted everything that had happened earlier. He nodded. After listening, Tong Tiendi pulled Tang Hao aside and got straight to the point. Brother Tang, I've said it before. No matter how much you two argue, it's still an internal conflict. If anything happens to Tang Hao, it'll be a huge blow to our martial artists alliance. Do you understand what I'm saying? Alliance leader, I understand. Tang Hao sighed deeply in his heart. How could he not know what the alliance master meant? Brother Tang, what I want to know now is who wants to deal with Shangguan. Even Tong Tiendi himself was afraid of the person who had just tried to kill Shangguan. That was indeed the case. Tong Tiendi also wanted to know the identity of the other party. After thinking for a while, Tang Hao weighed the pros and cons. In the end, he answered truthfully, Alliance leader, the person who wanted to kill Shangguan was Longao. Longao? Tong Tiendi was shocked when he heard that the other party was Longao. He had never expected that the person who had almost killed Shangguan and the 4 supreme Dao martial artists would be Longao. Could Longao do it with his strength? However, Longao was a great emperor martial artist, while Shangguan was a nirvana martial artist. The difference between the two was too big. They were not on the same level. Regardless of whether others believed it or not, Tong Tiendi would never believe it. Tong Tiendi also knew that Tang Hao would not lie to him. Could it be true? Brother Tang, what's going on? He let out another sigh. Even he had yet to recover from the shock, let alone the alliance master. Following that, Tang Hao recounted everything that had happened in detail. After listening, Tong Tiendi was silent. Time passed by slowly. After a long time, Tong Tiendi said helplessly, this person is not simple. He has the help of the Nirvana mythical beast. If he turns against the Martial Artists Alliance, the consequences will be unimaginable. Nirvana martial artists were not cabbages that could be found on the street. There were only 9 Nirvana martial artists in the entire Martial Artists Alliance. It could be said that the loss of one meant that there would be one less Nirvana martial artist. With Longao's strength alone, even 10,000 Longaos would not be a match for a Nirvana martial artist, let alone one Longao. However, the situation now was completely different. Longao had a powerful Nirvana mythical beast by his side. It would be impossible for him to fight against 9 of them. What if it was a one-on-one? Alliance leader, forgive me for being blunt. Just say it. Alliance leader, I just talked to Longao. Longao doesn't want to fight against the Martial Artists Alliance. However, Shangguan is still unwilling to let go of Longao. If it wasn't for Emperor Ken's timely appearance, I believe that Longao would have been dead. Tong Tiendi did not say anything. Longao is willing to let go, but what about Shangguan? When the time comes, Longao will definitely take action to protect himself. Even if he can escape from Tiandao Mountain, what about the future? I understand. How could Tong Tiendi not know what Tang Hao meant? As the Vice-Alliance leader of the Martial Artists Alliance, Shangguan Yi had to focus on the Martial Artists Alliance. No matter what happened, Shanghai Yi must not be killed. Where is Longao? I don't know. Tang Hao shrugged helplessly. He did not want to get involved in this matter. After all, it was Shangguan Yi's fault. Longao only wanted to protect himself. Not to mention Longao, he believed that no matter who it was, they would do the same. It was understandable. Tong Tiendi's expression was a little serious. He did not continue to ask. The two of them returned. Tong Tiendi said, "Let's split up and search. Brother Shangguan, you and I will go together." Tang Hao had already guessed what the alliance leader would do. With the alliance leader's strength and Shanghai Yi's help, Longao would not have a chance to attack unless Longao wanted to die. In the end, the alliance leader was still unwilling to give up Shanghai Yi. After all, a Nirvana Realm martial artist was too important to the Martial Artists Alliance. Everyone scattered in all directions. Before Tang Hao left, he looked at Shanghai Yi meaningfully and said, "God is watching what you do. Don't go overboard. Otherwise, no one will be able to protect you." Looking at the disappearing figure, Shanghai Yi said coldly, "Alliance leader, I believe you heard what Tang Hao said just now. This matter must have something to do with Tang Hao. Brother Shangguan, do you know who is trying to kill you this time?" The alliance leader knew. Shangguan Yi was not an idiot. Since the alliance master had asked such a question, then the alliance master must know who the other party was. Tang Hao couldn't wait any longer. He really wanted to know who it was that wanted to kill him. "Brother Shangguan, the person is none other than Longao. You must be familiar with him, right?" Chapter 1084. Longao. Shanghai Yi was no stranger to Longao. Because of that, Shangguan Yi did not believe, nor was he willing to believe, that the person who almost killed him before was the so-called Longao. From the beginning to the end, Shanghai Yi didn't take Longao seriously. Everyone below the Nirvana realm was like an ant. Longao was just like an ant. "Alliance Master, are you lying to me?" Tong Tiendi didn't say anything, but the expression on his face said it all. At this moment, Shangguan Yi sucked in a breath of cold air. He really couldn't figure out how Longao was able to do that. In the distance, Longao had been following the people from the Martial Artists Alliance. He wanted to find a chance to get rid of Shanghai Yi. He didn't care about anything else. He was a little depressed because Longao had guessed that Shanghai Yi and Tong Tiendi already knew that he was the one who did it. It seemed that it would be much harder to kill Shanghai Yi now. He wasn't worried about Shanghai Yi at all. With the addition of Tong Tiendi, not to mention one Weeping Soul Beast, even two Weeping Soul Beasts might not be able to kill Shangguan Yi. He had missed the opportunity. Longao wasn't a stubborn person. Since he couldn't do it this time, he would wait and see if there was another chance later. He was going to look for the Heavenly Way kill technique and the so-called origin energy. The Heavenly Way was an expert at the peak of martial arts. One could imagine that the Heavenly Way kill technique owned by the Heavenly Way was definitely not simple. Moreover, the Heavenly Way had already taken out the origin energy. It was obvious how powerful the Heavenly Way kill technique was. No matter what, the Heavenly Way valued the origin energy the most. Longao had already disguised himself. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to recognize him. There was a sea of people in the Heavenly Way mountain. In the beginning, the 10 cauldrons didn't stop anyone from entering the Heavenly Way mountain because they didn't want to provoke the Heavenly Way. Right now, unknowingly, several hours had passed since they entered Heavenly Dao Mountain. Gradually, the omnidirectional cauldron became impatient and began to chase away other people and factions on a large scale. In the Sky Martial continent, the 10-direction tripod pillars were the peak existences. No matter who it was, No one dared to provoke the 10 directional cauldrons. Although everyone was extremely unwilling in their hearts, they could only obediently leave the heavenly Tao mountain due to the strength of the 10 directions tripod establishment. Within a short 2 hours. In the entire Heavenly Path mountain, only the people of the 10 cardinal directions were left. The rest of the people were nowhere to be found. In the beginning, the 10 directional cauldron was afraid that the heavenly Tao would interfere in this matter. In the end, the heavenly Tao did not appear from beginning to end. From the looks of it, the heavenly Tao would not interfere in this matter after entering the heavenly Tao mountain. This way, the 10 directional cauldron was completely relieved. The 10 directions were like a tripod, and they were wary of each other. They each looked for their own things, and it could be said that they minded their own business. Xiling, can you sense it? 3 days had passed, and Xiling still did not sense it. Longao felt that something was wrong. Could it be a trap set by the heavenly Tao? Longao, you already know the identity of the heavenly Tao. I believe you also know that the heavenly Tao has many clones. He nodded. Longao was naturally clear about the heavenly Tao's clones. If it was not for the heavenly Tao's clones, he would not have been able to obtain the origin energy. The heavenly Tao's clones are also very powerful. If there are no accidents, the heavenly Tao's shortkill technique and the origin energy in the heavenly Tao mountain should be protected by the heavenly Tao's clones. No matter who it is, even if it is a Nirvana realm martial artist, they will be obliterated. I see. In the end, Xiling had already sensed the location of the heavenly Tao's shortkill technique and the origin energy. However, with the heavenly Tao's clones guarding them, it was simply impossible to obtain them. However, there was one point that Longao could not understand. If the heavenly Tao wanted to deal with them, there was no need for it to do so. After all, the heavenly Tao's strength was obvious. Since the heavenly Tao had sent down the heavenly Tao mountain, it would not continue to send out clones to guard it. Xiling, are you saying that the heavenly Tao sent down the heavenly Tao mountain specifically to deal with the 10 directional cauldrons? No, with the 10 directional cauldrons' strength, they are not qualified to make the heavenly Tao do this. Fuck. Longao cursed inwardly. Regarding Xiling, he was completely speechless. If the heavenly Tao did not want to deal with the 10 directional cauldrons, why would it do this? Could it be that the heavenly Tao had too much free time? Longao, if my guess is correct, the heavenly Tao should want to deal with the God Diviner. Just based on the heavenly Tao? Longao was very clear about the heavenly Tao's strength. Although the heavenly Tao and the God Diviner were both peak experts, the God Diviner was the true #1 expert of the martial heaven continent. With the heavenly Tao's strength, it was impossible for it to be a match for the heavenly Tao. Xiling seemed to be able to guess what Longao was thinking. The heavenly Tao's realm has advanced once more. However, the heavenly Tao isn't completely certain, so it's using the heavenly Tao mountain as a test to see if it can defeat the God Diviner. Once it's confirmed, the heavenly Tao won't show the slightest mercy. It will definitely deal with the God Diviner. So that's how it was. As the saying went, a mountain couldn't accommodate 2 tigers. If the heavenly Tao wanted to dominate the martial heaven continent, it naturally wouldn't allow the God Diviner to remain. It wasn't just the heavenly Tao. No matter who it was, they would do the same. Every man for himself and the devil takes the hindmost. Xiling, based on your guess, with the heavenly Tao's current strength, can it defeat the God Diviner? Longao wanted to know the result. Between the God Diviner and the heavenly Tao, he would choose the God Diviner without hesitation. As for the heavenly Tao, it was already destined that they would have a battle to the death. I don't know. The God Diviner and the heavenly Tao should be on the same level. I'm leaning toward the God Diviner. Let's see if the God Diviner will make a move. Just as Xiling and Longao were speaking, 2 people were standing at the peak of the clouds. One was the heavenly Tao, and the other was the God Diviner. As for Long Batian, he was nowhere to be seen. Heavenly Tao, what do you want? We already agreed that no matter what happened, the continent's structure couldn't be changed. Even if it was changed, it wouldn't be by you or me. Are you going to break that agreement? At this moment, the God Diviner was clearly infuriated. The heavenly Tao had been created by him. But now, the heavenly Tao wanted to deal with him, not hesitating to destroy the 10-directional cauldron. The God Diviner naturally wouldn't allow such a thing to happen. God Diviner, the heavenly Tao mountain has descended. I'm just giving everyone a chance. I won't take out my core energy. As for the heavenly Tao Shorekill skill, I'm sure you know that no matter who obtains it, I won't interfere. The God Diviner had already calculated this, so he naturally wouldn't doubt it. With the heavenly Tao's character, if he casually took out his core energy, he wouldn't be the heavenly Tao. As for the heavenly Tao Shorekill skill, it wasn't essential to the heavenly Tao. Although it was powerful, the heavenly Tao couldn't cultivate it. In fact, it was a trash martial skill. The God Diviner knew that the heavenly Tao Shorekill skill was a trash martial skill. The two of them had a tacit understanding. If it was a powerful martial skill, would the heavenly Tao Shorekill skill take it out? Heavenly Tao, I understand what you mean. Let's fight right now. If I win, you take back your clone. Furthermore, you can't interfere with the heavenly Tao mountain's matters. If I lose, I'll leave the Martial Heaven continent and never step foot in the Martial Heaven continent again. You'll be the ruler of the Martial Heaven continent. What do you think? The heavenly Tao was delighted. The heavenly Tao's goal was to test the God Diviner's power. If he won, he would be able to dominate the Martial Heaven continent. Even if he lost, the worst-case scenario would be that he and the God Diviner would continue to divide the continent equally. Win or lose, he had to go all out. In the highest heavens, Master God Diviner and Master Heaven Tao didn't continue speaking. They looked at each other, both of them staring at each other. This was because both of them feared each other's strength. They were both peak martial artists, and Master God Diviner had been slightly stronger than Master Heaven Tao. Now that Master God Diviner had broken through to the Heaven Tao realm, it was hard to tell who was stronger. Heavenly Tao, there's no need for us to fight to the death. We'll decide the victor in 3 moves. What do you think? The Heavenly Tao nodded with a smile. All right. Within the Heavenly Tao mountain, Longao was talking to Xiling when his expression suddenly changed. The God Diviner's voice rang out in his ears. Longao, don't say anything. Don't resist. Watch carefully. As soon as the God Diviner's voice rang out, Longao's body was enveloped by a layer of invisible light. He vanished. At the peak of the 9 heavens, Longao was enveloped by that white light. Even the heavenly Taos couldn't sense him. Seeing the two of them waiting to fight, Longao was startled. He didn't know what the God Diviner was trying to do. It had to be known that the heavenly Tao and the God Diviner were both at the peak of the martial path. On the Martial Heaven continent, the two of them were practically the strongest. So their battle would definitely be spectacular. Longao had never imagined that he would be able to see the peak of their battle here. Longao, the heavenly Tao and I are fighting. You should properly comprehend it, especially your soul. It will be very beneficial to you. As for how far you can go, that will depend on your luck. Longao didn't say anything. He didn't dare to speak. Once the heavenly Taos discovered him, let alone whether he could escape or not, just what would he do in the future? The God Diviner might be able to help him now, but could he help him forever? Soul comprehension? Although Longao didn't know what the God Diviner was talking about, he knew that the God Diviner's actions were definitely beneficial to him. He couldn't miss out on such a rare opportunity. The God Diviner and the heavenly Taos continued to stare at each other, not attacking. Longao was extremely depressed. Longao, the battle between the heavenly Taos and the God Diviner will be of great help to you. Other than comprehending your soul, you should also try to comprehend the Sword Tao. If you can succeed in comprehending it, not only will your power soar, but there will also be unexpected results. What did that mean? Longao didn't ask, because he didn't understand what the God Diviner was talking about. Author's note: I really was busy today. This chapter is 3,000 words long. Tomorrow, I'll have a small eruption. Chapter 1085. Since both Xiling and the marvelous mathematician said so, it seemed that this battle had a great impact on him. In the ninth heaven void, at the top of the clouds, the marvelous mathematician and the heavenly way still didn't move, but their eyes were closed. Their primordial spirits had left their bodies for a peak battle. When one's cultivation broke through the peak of martial arts, the primordial spirit could leave their bodies. For a battle between two experts at the peak of martial arts, the strength of the primordial spirit could be decided in 3 moves. The two powerful primordial spirits collided fiercely without the slightest fluctuation of power. If it were an ordinary person, even if they stood here, they wouldn't be able to sense the battle between the two primordial spirits. But Longao was different. With the help of the marvelous mathematician, Longao's soul entered the circle of power fluctuations of the battle in a very strange state. The marvelous mathematician's strength was better. Longao was not a fool. The marvelous mathematician could do something, but the heavenly way couldn't detect it. This in itself explained everything. Sure enough, the battle between the two experts at the peak of martial arts lasted less than a few seconds, and 3 moves had passed. The winner had been decided. The heavenly way's face was very gloomy and as ugly as it could be. The heavenly way thought that he could defeat the marvelous mathematician with his current strength, but the result? Marvelous mathematician, I won't interfere in the heavenly way mountain. After saying this, the heavenly way turned and left. In the blink of an eye, he had disappeared without a trace. Longao, what did you sense? He shook his head helplessly. The battle between two experts at the peak of martial arts and the Heavenly Way Mountain was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. However, Longao was very depressed because he didn't sense anything from the beginning to the end. It seems that your soul still can't sense it. If your cultivation can break through the divine way realm, I believe that you can sense it with your divine soul. The marvelous mathematician was also a little disappointed. He also thought that Longao could sense something and his strength would increase greatly. Longao, the heavenly way won't interfere in the heavenly way mountain, and the power of the origin won't appear. As for the heavenly way ultimate skill, I don't know what to say. You can try it. If you can sense this skill, it will be very useful to you. Thank you, Senior. As soon as he finished speaking, Longao's body had already returned to Heavenly Dao Mountain. He heaved a long sigh of relief. Considering that the Tao of Heaven had been defeated by Master God Diviner, Yang Qi was confident that the Tao of Heaven clone would leave as well. In that case, Yang Qi would be able to acquire the Tao of Heaven's Shorekill technique without any problems. It was just as the oracle had said. Longao was very clear in his heart that source energy was something that the heavenly Tao valued the most. How could it be taken out casually? A mountain could not accommodate 2 tigers, let alone an increase in the number of tigers. Xiling, where is the heavenly Tao Shorekill technique? After heavenly Tao left, Longao became somewhat impatient. Come with me. Longao didn't hesitate and followed Xiling's senses. Inside the heavenly Tao mountain, only the 10 directions tripod remained, and the search area was expanded infinitely. Under the lead of Tang Hao, the Martial Artists Alliance finally found the secret of the Heavenly Tao Mountain, which was outside a huge valley. Inside the valley, black fog lingered. Without entering, one could sense the terrifying aura inside. It was eerie and creepy, and one couldn't help but shudder when one got close. In just half an hour, all the members of the 10 Directions tripod had arrived outside the valley, including Longao. Everyone stared at the valley in front of them, and no one dared to enter. Because the Tao of Heaven had sent down the Heavenly Tao Mountain, it couldn't be so simple. No one knew if there was any danger in the valley. Since things had already come to this point, everyone gritted their teeth and rushed in. In the blink of an eye, all the members of the 10 Directions tripod had rushed into the valley and disappeared without a trace. After everyone had entered the valley, Longao's figure slowly appeared. He looked at the valley coldly. According to Xiling, the Heavenly Tao fatal skill was in the valley in front of him. As for the power of origin, Xiling couldn't get it, but Xiling needed the airflow in the valley very much. Whether it was for Xiling, Bai Ling, or for himself, Longao knew that he had to enter the valley. Moreover, the marvelous mathematician emphasized the heavenly Tao fatal skill, and it seemed that this martial arts technique had some history. Until now, Longao still couldn't figure out why the Tao of Heaven would take it out if the heavenly Tao fatal skill was so powerful. He didn't believe that the Tao of Heaven was selfless, no matter whether others believed it or not. However, he had to give it a try. What if the heavenly Tao fatal skill wasn't suitable for others, but for himself? That was exactly the case. Longao didn't continue to hesitate and walked toward the valley. After a while, he disappeared in the valley surrounded by black fog. In the valley, it was boundless, and one couldn't see the end of it. All one could see was black fog. Moreover, the black fog in the valley was very strange. Not to mention ordinary people, even Nirvana warriors didn't dare to be the slightest bit careless. This was because someone who had just stepped into the valley, and was a supreme Tao warrior, immediately exploded and died after inhaling the black fog. Seeing this, everyone was shocked. At the same time, they knew what had happened. No one dared to be the slightest bit careless. They immediately released an air shield and forced the black fog away. Even so, the surroundings were very dark. No matter how strong they were, they couldn't see anything more than 3 meters away. Longao entered the valley and encountered the same situation. He immediately released the slaughter domain and released an air shield. In this way, he could barely resist the corrosion of the black fog. Longao sighed in relief. He was very clear that this black fog had been created by the heavenly Taos. It seemed the heavenly Tao's intention was only to test the godly mathematician's strength. As for the others, even if all the 10 direction cauldrons worked together, the heavenly Taos wouldn't place them in their eyes. Even so, the black fog set down by the heavenly Taos was no small matter. Longao advanced step by step. However, finding the entrance wasn't easy. It seemed he could only rely on Xiling's help. However, while searching for the entrance, Longao was preparing to cause some trouble for the 10 direction cauldrons. The 10 direction cauldrons were the hegemons of the martial heaven continent. Normally, they didn't interfere with each other's business. However, Longao was very clear that the 10 direction cauldrons had always been fighting openly and covertly. At this time, having the 10 direction cauldrons fight each other was not necessarily a bad thing. With Longao's current strength and the 2 weeping soul beasts, he was constantly killing the 10 direction cauldrons' divine experts. This way, the 10 direction cauldrons were suspicious of each other. They all thought that the other side wanted to kill them. And so, the 10 direction cauldrons began to fight. They fought to the death, unable to spare any attention to find the so-called heavenly Tao's surekill skills and core energy. Long Hang. Just as Longao was preparing to find the entrance, he suddenly saw the Long family's grand elder, Long Hang. Author's note: I've been so busy these past few days that I can't catch my breath. Today it's 3 chapters. Tomorrow it'll be 15 chapters. If little 9 can't do it, I'll become a monk. Chapter 1086. Long Hang had to be killed. Longao was almost certain that the first elder of the Long family was a Nirvana realm warrior. According to the 10 Forces Mutual Restriction, the Martial Artists Alliance had 9 Nirvana realm warriors, so the other 9 super forces probably had fewer Nirvana realm warriors. Long family was no exception. In order to completely solve the problem, Longao was going to take advantage of the valley to kill Long Hang. If they were outside, the Long clan would definitely gather together. It wouldn't be easy to find an opportunity to do so. As long as they were in the valley, it was pitch black. In just an hour, the people of the Long clan had been scattered. Longao stared at Long Hang in the distance. There were already 5 people around him. He sneered. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Longao ordered the weeping soul beasts on his left and right. Just as the 2 weeping soul beasts were about to attack, his face suddenly turned cold and he almost cursed. The 2 weeping soul beasts disappeared. There was no need to ask at all. Longao already knew why the two weeping soul beasts suddenly disappeared. The marvelous mathematician. According to the previous agreement, the marvelous mathematician lent him the two weeping soul beasts to prevent the 10 forces from getting the treasure of Tiandao Mountain. In this case, the marvelous mathematician took back the two weeping soul beasts before Tiandao Mountain was disbanded. It was a bit unkind. Although Longao was cursing in his heart, he knew very well that the marvelous mathematician's identity and strength were there. One day, I will rely on my own strength to laugh at the world and look down at the sky. The two weeping soul beasts had disappeared. It was almost impossible to kill Long Hang with his own strength. He was very unwilling. Very unwilling. Longao, come with me. Longao nodded without hesitation. Since he couldn't kill Long Hang now, he would definitely find a chance in the future. The most important purpose of entering Tiandao Mountain this time was to find the so-called Heavenly Way killing skill. Longao followed Xiling's senses and shot toward the southeast of the valley, disappearing into the vast black fog. In the valley. If it wasn't for Xiling's reaction, Longao wouldn't have been able to find the valley. Xiling and Bai Ling tried their best to absorb the black mist around them. As for Longao, he had also found the so-called Heavenly Dao Shortkill technique. Wordless Heavenly Book. Seeing that there was not a single word on the paper, Longao was completely dumbfounded. This was the so-called Heavenly Dao Shortkill technique? Long Fu, is this the Heavenly Dao Shortkill technique that the Heavenly Dao possesses? Master, if my guess is correct, the Heavenly Dao is unable to comprehend the killing move inside. Otherwise, the Heavenly Dao wouldn't have taken it out. What did he mean? Master, don't try to comprehend it yet. The Heavenly Dao has already set up an aura above. Once you successfully sense the Shortkill skill inside, I believe the Heavenly Dao will know instantly. So that was the case. Longao was also a little scared. It seemed like the Heavenly Dao wanted to borrow the hands of others to open this martial skill. In the end, even the Heavenly Dao was unable to comprehend this martial skill. The more it was so, the more Longao was looking forward to it. Long Fu, what should I do? With the power of the blood pool, cover this martial skill. I believe that even the Heavenly Dao won't be able to sense it. Longao immediately did as he said. He sent the martial skill manual in front of him into the blood pool in the dragon seal space. Longao didn't leave. Instead, he waited for a full day and night before quietly leaving. The Heavenly Dao Mountain descended for a full 3 days. In the end, whoever obtained the Heavenly Dao Shortkill technique and the origin energy would definitely not leak it out. No one was a fool. Once this matter was leaked out, the consequences would be unimaginable. The most depressing thing about the descent of the Heavenly Dao Mountain this time was the 10-direction tripod. Not only did they not obtain the Heavenly Dao Shortkill technique and the origin energy, but the 10-direction tripod killed each other and suffered heavy losses. After a rough estimation. This time, the 10-direction tripod lost a full 1/3 of the people who entered the Heavenly Dao Mountain. What kind of concept was this? One must know that this time, the weakest of the 10-direction tripod that entered the Heavenly Dao Mountain was a supreme Dao martial artist. Longao Peak. Longao returned successfully, but he did not do so openly. The reason was very simple. Yi Wushuang was still on Longao Peak, constantly searching for his traces. He was quite persistent. Without the help of the two weeping soul beasts, even if Longao wanted to make a move, he would be powerless. Aoa, are you alright? He shook his head. Looking at his family in front of him, Longao smiled. After chatting for a while, he immediately returned to his residence. This was because he had something very important to do now, and that was to comprehend the ultimate skill. In the courtyard, Longao took out his ultimate skill. After a day of hard work, Long Fu finally used the power of the blood pool to completely eliminate the aura of the ultimate skill. In other words, even if he successfully comprehended the ultimate skill now, he believed that even the Heavenly Dao would not be able to sense the existence of the ultimate skill. Speaking of which, Longao was really lucky. If an ordinary person saw the ultimate skill, It would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens to take it away because the heavenly Tao would sense it instantly. However, with the help of Long Fu and the blood pool, even the heavenly Tao would not be able to sense it in time. It was precisely because of this heavenly Tao mountain, within the valley. The current heavenly Tao mountain no longer existed, but the heavenly Tao could enter the heavenly Tao mountain anytime and anywhere. Looking at the empty space in front of him and the heavenly Tao's ultimate skill had disappeared, the heavenly Tao's expression was extremely gloomy. It was as ugly as it could be because it had never thought that someone would be able to take away the ultimate skill without anyone noticing. How did the other party do it? No matter how he thought about it, the heavenly Tao still could not figure out who could have such strength unless it was the divine mathematician or Longbatian. However, the heavenly Tao was sure that this was definitely not the doing of the divine mathematician or Longbatian. In that case, who could it be? The ultimate skill, the so-called wordless heavenly book, was accidentally obtained by the heavenly Tao back then. After comprehending it for so many years, he still could not succeed. He clearly knew that it was a treasure, but he could not do anything about it. It was precisely because of this that the heavenly Tao came up with such a method to see if someone could comprehend the ultimate skill. In that case, he could reap the benefits without doing anything. Unfortunately, he lost the ultimate skill in the end. I don't care who you are. Since you want to take away my ultimate skill, I will not let you go. The heavenly Tao forcibly suppressed his anger and killing intent. There was another point that he could not figure out. Who was the other party to be able to eliminate the aura of the wordless heavenly book? Such strength was a little scary. Apart from the divine mathematician and Longbatian, he could not think of a third person. This matter was a little simple and confusing. If the heavenly Tao knew that the person who took away the wordless heavenly book was only a great emperor, who knew what he would think? P.S. The remaining chapter will be delivered later. 15 chapters will be released tomorrow. Starting from dawn, 5 chapters will be released first, and the remaining 10 will be released tomorrow. Chapter 1087. Longao's Peak. In the courtyard. Longao was trying to comprehend the wordless heavenly book with his soul. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't open the wordless heavenly book, let alone comprehend the ultimate skill. Longao wasn't disappointed at all. Even the heavenly Tao couldn't comprehend it, let alone him. Young Master Long Bai Ling, let's discuss something. How about it? A white figure flashed and Bai Ling's figure appeared in the courtyard. Young Master Long, what's the matter? Bai Ling was always so gentle and kind. Even her words were pleasant to listen to, like the chirping of an oriole. Bai Ling, from now on, can you stop calling me young master? I can't stand it, okay? This. Without giving Bai Ling any chance to speak, Longao continued, Bai Ling, if you treat me as your own, from now on, don't call me young Master Long at this point. Bai Ling could only nod silently. Then what should I call you in the future? Just call me by my name, or Brother Long, then I'll call you Brother Long. Longao smiled. Brother Long sounded much better than young Master Long. Longao always had a good impression of this kind girl. Brother Long, try to use your bloodline to comprehend the wordless heavenly book. Bloodline? Longao didn't doubt Bai Ling. He nodded and tried to use his bloodline to enter the wordless heavenly book to see if he could open it. If his soul couldn't do it, Longao also thought that his bloodline couldn't do it. But the next scene completely shocked Longao. The wordless heavenly book, which didn't have any aura before, suddenly released a terrifying aura. Before Longao could react, his soul was sucked into the wordless heavenly book. In the mysterious space. The surroundings were grey and hazy. Longao was very curious. He did not know where he was. Could it be inside the wordless heavenly book? Although he was extremely unwilling to admit it, the truth was right in front of him. Longao didn't dare to act rashly because he didn't know what would happen inside the wordless heavenly book. You're finally here. A deep voice sounded. In front of Longao, countless specks of light began to gather. In the blink of an eye, a young man who looked exactly like Longao appeared. Himself. Looking at himself in front of him, Longao was completely dumbfounded. He couldn't believe it and rubbed his head dramatically. He thought he was dreaming and didn't know what had happened. Tianwu Continent. In the lobby of the Martial Artists Alliance. Not only the Alliance Master, Tong Tiendi, but also the 8 Vice Alliance Masters, including Shangguan Yi and Tang Hao, were all present. Shangguan Yi's face was very gloomy. Not only did the Martial Artists Alliance suffer a great loss this time, but he was also almost killed by Longao. The 8 of them already knew about this. How could he save his face? Besides this, Shangguan Yi was very afraid of Longao. He was not afraid of Longao's strength, but of the Nirvana Divine Beast by Longao's side. The grudge between Longao and him was either you die or I die. Longao had such a backer. If he were to play dirty tricks behind his back, it could be said that it was impossible to guard against. He could not always follow behind the 8 people. He couldn't afford to lose face. The 8 of you, I believe you already know that the Martial Artists Alliance suffered a great loss on the trip to Tiandao Mountain. If there are no accidents, the 10-sided tripod standing will start the battle later. What do you think we should do next? Alliance Master. Shangguan Yi stood up and glanced at the 8 of them. He said, Alliance Master, let's put this matter aside for now. Longao sneakily attacked me and killed our Martial Artists Alliance's disciple of the Path of Divinity. Shouldn't we settle this grudge with Longao? If this person didn't die, he would always be a big problem. As the saying goes, if you cut the grass without removing the roots, it will grow again when the spring breeze blows. Knowing that Longao had a Nirvana Divine Beast by his side, Shangguan Yi certainly didn't dare to act rashly. He could only rely on the Martial Artists Alliance's power to kill Longao. Tong Tiendi, Tang Hao, and the other 8 knew Shangguan Yi very well. Not to mention the others, Tong Tiendi and Tang Hao were certainly unwilling to deal with Longao. However, for the sake of Shangguan Yi, they couldn't be so direct. It was still the same question. As the Deputy Alliance Master of the Martial Artists Alliance and a Nirvana Martial Artist, Shangguan Yi had both strength and status. Shangguan Yi, Longao has always been the honorary master of the Martial Artists Alliance. You can't deal with him just because you want to. If you didn't chase after Longao, he wouldn't have sneakily attacked you. What do you think? Shangguan Yi was speechless. Shangguan Yi was almost certain that Longao's sneaky attack had something to do with Tang Hao. He sneered in his heart. Shangguan Yi was different from Tang Hao. If Shangguan Yi was given a chance, even a slight chance, he wouldn't hesitate to get rid of Tang Hao. Tang Hao, if that's the case, then from now on, everyone can kill the Alliance's disciples, including you and me. After all, we are the Deputy Alliance Masters. Shangguan Yi's words made the other 6 Deputy Alliance Masters nod their heads. Even the Deputy Alliance Masters couldn't casually kill the Alliance's disciples, let alone the Honorary Master. Shangguan Yi waved his hand and looked at the Alliance Master. The 8 Deputy Alliance Masters didn't say anything, so he sat back down. We'll talk about this later. If it was the Longao of the past, Shangguan Yi wouldn't have said anything. With his strength, he could kill Longao in a matter of minutes. However, the situation was completely different now. If he let his guard down, he might be killed by Longao. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't worried. That was indeed the case. Shangguan Yi didn't want to delay any longer. No matter what happened, he had to get rid of Longao first. Alliance Master, it seems like the rules of the Alliance have been changed. Looking at Shangguan Yi, Tong Tiendi knew that Shangguan Yi wouldn't let this matter rest until he made a decision. Did he really have to deal with Longao? No matter how he looked at it, the Alliance couldn't deal with Longao. Moreover, Longao had a Nirvana mythical beast by his side. If they offended such a person, even if they could kill Longao, the Martial Artists Alliance would suffer a great loss. Deputy Alliance Master Tang, go to the Jojo continent. No matter what happened to Longao, bring him back. Tang Hao sighed deeply in his heart and glared at Shangguan Yi. If he hadn't stopped Shangguan Yi, he would have been dead by now. Shangguan Yi still refused to let go. This kind of person deserved to die. Alliance Master, I'll get up now. Tang Hao stood up and left the hall, preparing to go to the Jojo continent. Shangguan Yi sneered in his heart. It seemed that the Alliance Master had chosen him over Longao. Chapter 1088. Long Family. Long Hang was almost certain that Longao had already killed Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang. Even if he didn't want to admit it, the truth was right in front of him. Long Hang didn't do it himself, nor did he send anyone to the 9 continents. He was prepared to kill with a borrowed knife. Master, I've received news that Longao killed Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang. According to the agreement that Longao left behind before he left, Longao would naturally return to the Long family in 3 months and enter the origin of evil. Calculating the time, Longao had left the Long family for about 20 days. There were still more than 2 months before the agreed date. However, Long Hang was obviously impatient. Long Di Tian's expression was very ugly, but he still said, "Great Elder, do you have any evidence that Longao killed Leng Mian and Jiyu Shuang?" "No. Since that's the case, let's not talk about this anymore. In 3 months, Longao will return to the family. When he enters the origin of evil, whether he lives or dies will depend on his luck." Long Hang didn't say anything else since Long Di Tian had already said so. How could Long Di Tian not know what Long Hang meant? 9 continents. Long Ao Peak, solitary courtyard. In the wordless heavenly book, Long Ao asked in shock, "Who are you?" They were exactly the same, as if they were twins. There were 2 Long Ao. If he didn't know that he was real, even he wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Long Ao was almost certain that if he stood in front of his family, even his parents and grandfather wouldn't be able to tell the difference. "What's your name in this life?" "In this life?" What did that mean? The other party's words completely confused Long Ao. He didn't know what this life meant. He asked back, "What do you mean? Answer me first." Long Ao. Nodding his head, the young man said with a smile, "Good name. You're faster than I thought. Long Ao, your bloodline seal can't be undone unless you rely on yourself." Bloodline seal? Could it be that the other party knew about his background? Long Ao had been brooding over the matter of his bloodline being sealed. He asked impatiently, "I want to know the truth." Until now, Long Ao still did not know who the other party was or where they came from. It was all a mystery. The wordless heavenly book can only be opened by your bloodline. Even I couldn't comprehend the entire wordless heavenly book back then. I hope you can comprehend it in this life. You don't have much time left. F***CK. What was the meaning of this? From the beginning to the end, Long Ao could not understand a single word that the other party said. It was as if they were from 2 different worlds, speaking 2 different languages. You don't have the qualifications to know. When your bloodline seal is undone, you will know everything. Next, you have to focus on comprehending the wordless heavenly book. I have no way to impart it to you. It seemed that it was impossible for him to know the truth. Bloodline seal. Long Ao knew how strong the power that sealed his bloodline was. Could it be possible with his own strength? Long Ao was not confident, because according to what Violet Spirit and Long Fu had said, the strength of the original body that sealed his own bloodline had even surpassed the heavenly Tao. Such a terrifying existence, didn't that mean that he had to first step onto the peak of martial arts before he could attempt to undo the bloodline seal in his body? I don't need to ask about other things. I just want to know who you are. Ha ha ha. After a burst of laughter, the young man had already disappeared, which made Long Ao confused. The wordless heavenly book was just a space. If he wanted to comprehend it, he had to enter the space. At this moment, Long Ao was not in the mood to comprehend it. He left the space. In the courtyard, Long Ao sat alone for 3 whole days. No matter who came, Long Ao would not meet them. Even his parents and grandpa. This had never happened before. In the past, no matter what happened to Long Ao, as long as his parents came, Longao would meet them. This was the only time. And because of this, Longao and the others were extremely worried. They did not know what had happened to Longao. "Father, I'm worried about Ao." He waved his hand. Longao was more worried than anyone else. But he knew his grandson well. He sighed and said helplessly, "Ao knows what he's doing. No matter who it is, without Longao's summons, no one is allowed to enter. Otherwise, we'll kill them all." Long Yi and Mu Lin were worried as well. They knew what their father meant. Ao must have met with something. Otherwise, Ao would not meet with anyone. Just as they had guessed. At that moment, Longao was unable to regain his senses for a long time. That was because he truly couldn't understand why a person who looked exactly like him would suddenly appear. Furthermore, the words of the other party contained hidden meanings. In this life, the bloodline seal, the comprehension of the wordless heavenly book. Everything seemed to have been arranged by fate. Longao had a feeling that he was like a chess piece. No matter how he moved, he could not escape from the hands of the chess player. Although this feeling was a little strange, Longao believed in it. "Brother Long, what's going on?" This was too shocking. Even Longao himself did not want to believe it. Therefore, no matter who it was, he would not tell them, not even Bai Ling nothing. "I just don't understand some things. Bai Ling, I want to ask you. Have you and your sister's original strength surpassed the heaven's will?" This kind of question was a bit laughable. Other than the god diviner, Longao could not think of anyone else who could surpass the heavenly Taos. It was still the same sentence. Longao always had a kind of feeling that the strength of Ziling and Bai Ling seemed to be above the heavenly way when they were in the original body. He had already wanted to ask this question before, but he had never asked. "Yes." Longao nodded. Bai Ling's words directly provoked him. As expected, he had been a frog at the bottom of a well. The heavenly Taos were not some bullshit martial heaven continent's strongest expert. It seemed that the god diviner was not the only one whose strength surpassed the heavenly Taos. There were also two Jianlings, Zilings, and Bai Lings. In that case, once Ziling and Bai Ling's cultivation bases recovered to their peak, wouldn't killing the heavenly Taos be a matter of minutes? "Brother Long, I know what you mean. My sister and I were too heavily injured back then. We won't be able to recover in a day." Speaking up to this point, Bai Ling sighed deeply, as if there was something that she couldn't say. Bai Ling didn't say anything, and Longao didn't continue asking. At this time, Ziling's figure appeared. He glared at Bai Ling and icily said, "If you tell him everything, aren't you afraid of causing his death?" Causing his own death? This problem seemed to be a little serious. Chapter 1089. Sister. Bai Ling was a little scared and trembled with fear. "Ziling, it's not that serious, is it?" Longao, I know you have a lot of questions in your heart. I've already said that with your current strength, it's not time for you to know. When it's time for you to know, I won't hide it from you. What's wrong with Ziling? Ziling's sudden outburst had caught Longao off guard. Before Longao could speak, Ziling continued, "I can tell you this. In the Tianwu continent, other than us sisters, there are only two people who can defeat Tian Dao. The clairvoyant. Who was the other person? You don't have to. I don't know who the other person is either." According to Ziling, there were a total of 5 people who had reached the peak of the martial Dao in the Tianwu continent. Ziling, Bai Ling, the clairvoyant, Tian Dao, and one other person. If Longao knew that there were 5 people at the peak of the martial Dao, including Long Batian, who knew what he would think? "Longao, I've already said everything I can." Regardless of whether Bai Ling was willing or not, Ziling pulled Bai Ling and disappeared from the courtyard. They returned to the Master God Sword. He shrugged helplessly. Before Longao could figure out what was going on, a servant's voice came from outside. "Tang Hao." Longao did not know why Tang Hao had come to Longao Peak at this time. However, he had a good impression of this person. He was a guest. Within Longao Peak. Tang Hao came to Longao Peak alone and happened to meet Yi Wushuang, who was looking for Longao. At this moment, Tang Hao did not leak any aura. He looked like an ordinary martial artist. Tang Hao appeared, and so did Longao. When enemies met, their eyes turned red. Longao, give me your life. Longao didn't move, but Tang Hao did. Yi Wushuang came and left quickly. If Tang Hao had not shown mercy, that move alone would have been enough to take Yi Wushuang's life. Yi Wushuang was extremely shocked as he got up from the ground with much difficulty. If a Nirvana realm martial artist wanted to kill him, it would be a piece of cake. Yi Wushuang did not dare to stay any longer. He did not even dare to say anything. He turned around and left quickly. Soon, he disappeared without a trace. Thank you. Longao, your dragon sect. Longao smiled and said, follow me. Then, he led Tang Hao to the cave. So there's a whole other world here. Only Longao and Tang Hao were in the hall of the cave. Tang Hao was very surprised because he didn't sense that there was such a huge cave under Longao Peak. Longao didn't want to talk about this. He still had a lot of things to do. He went straight to the point. May I know why you're here, old Tang? Longao, the chief already knows that you killed Shangguan Yi. I'm here under the chief's orders to bring you back. As expected. Longao had already guessed Tang Hao's purpose for coming. He secretly scoffed and said, old Tang, there's no need to talk about our relationship. Therefore, I don't want to fall out with you. Please go ahead. Longao, it's my business whether I come or not, and it's your business whether you go or not. I don't have to bring you back. Don't worry. After what happened last time, Shangguan Yi won't dare to come again. Otherwise, the person who came this time would be Shangguan Yi and not me. Old Tang, to be honest, I've encountered something very important recently. Therefore, if there's nothing else, I won't keep you company. Asking him to leave. Tang Hao was a little dumbfounded after being asked to leave by Longao. Because with his status, even the other deputy chiefs or the elders of the other super forces wouldn't dare to do this, let alone Longao. Now that things had come to this, Tang Hao couldn't stay any longer. Long Haoshe's figure appeared as he watched the figure disappear. He sighed. Long Haoshe didn't expect his grandson to be so domineering. He didn't even give face to the deputy chief of the Martial Artists Alliance. The deputy chief of the Martial Arts Alliance, regardless of strength or status, was there. Will Tang Hao be unhappy with what you did? Grandpa, I know what you mean. I don't care if Tang Hao is happy or not. Longao didn't stay any longer. He returned to his residence, which was the so-called courtyard, and continued to think about the problem just now. Long Haoshe was a little stunned. He stood there dumbfounded. Was it really okay for his grandson to do this? His grandson had grown up. Long Haoshe couldn't do anything about it. In the courtyard, Longao was still thinking about the matter in the wordless heavenly book. That person who looked and had the same figure as him. After thinking about it for a day, Longao had no choice but to temporarily stop thinking about it. He entered the space of the wordless heavenly book and began to comprehend the so-called sure kill technique. It was very difficult. Longao found it very difficult to comprehend the sure kill technique. Just like that, 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. 10 days in advance, Longao left Longao Peak and headed to the Long family in the Qianwu continent. If it was someone else, since they had already left the Long family, they would definitely not return to the Long family. As for Longao, it was the opposite. He knew that returning to the Long family would be dangerous, but he still insisted on going. This was the so-called knowing that there is a tiger in the mountain, but still going to the mountain. In the Qianwu continent. Martial Artists Alliance. Tang Hao returned to the Martial Artists Alliance, but he didn't bring Longao back. This shocked everyone in the Martial Artists Alliance. In fact, many people had already guessed that with Tang Hao's strength, it would be a piece of cake for him to bring Longao back. But what was the result? Many people didn't care about it because it had nothing to do with them. This was because people with discerning eyes could tell that the relationship between Tang Hao and Longao was definitely not simple. Otherwise, Tang Hao would have brought Longao back. The person who was the most unhappy and angry when Tang Hao didn't bring Longao back was Shangguan Yi. In Shangguan Yi's opinion, Tang Hao did it on purpose. Tang Hao, as the deputy chief of the Martial Artists Alliance, Longao made a big mistake. No matter how the alliance deals with him, you should bring him back first. But what about you? I want to ask you, where do you place the alliance? Place your sister. Tang Hao despised Shangguan Yi in his heart. He didn't hold back at all. In front of the chief and the other 6 deputy chiefs, he said, I went to Longao's peak and fought with Longao. Unfortunately, he was very weak. The Nirvana Divine Beast was too strong. I can guarantee that I tried my best. Other than the chief, no one here is a match for it. Everyone was shocked. No one had expected that the Nirvana Divine Beast by Longao's side would be so strong. Even Deputy Chief Tang Hao was no match for it. No wonder Deputy Chief Tang Hao couldn't bring it back. Tang Hao, do you think I will believe you? Shangguan Yi didn't believe him. Chapter 1090. Shangguan Yi, are you asking for trouble? Everyone looked at Shangguan Yi with disdain. She was indeed shameless to the extreme. She waved her hand. Tong Tiendi, who had been silent all this time, said unhappily, Shangguan Yi, you've gone too far. It was obvious that Tong Tiendi was not happy to be called by his name. Shangguan Yi apologized, I was impulsive. Brother Tang, I'm sorry. Shangguan Yi, if it's possible, why don't you go there personally? I believe that with your strength, you can bring Longao back. Did Shangguan Yi dare to do it? Even if Shangguan Yi was given 10,000 guts, Shangguan Yi would not dare to go to the Jojo continent. Again, Shangguan Yi was not afraid of Longao's strength. She was afraid of the Nirvana Divine Beast by Longao's side. For a moment, the hall became silent. Time passed by slowly. Not knowing how much time had passed, Shangguan Yi finally opened his mouth and said, Alliance Master, not only did Longao behead the Alliance's supreme Dao disciple, he even fought with Brother Tang. He simply did not put the Alliance in his eyes. Shangguan Yi's meaning was very clear. Provocation. This was a blatant provocation. Longao was obviously provoking the Alliance. It was simply unbearable. Prostitutes could bear it, but customers could not. Alliance Master, I hope that the 3 Alliance Masters will go to the Jojo continent together to deal with Longao. If he dares to resist, kill him without mercy. Would Shangguan Yi give Longao a chance? Whether Longao was willing to go back to the Martial Artists Alliance or not, Shangguan Yi would definitely kill Longao. Enough. With a roar, Tong Tiendi's anger scared the 8 Deputy Alliance Masters. Usually, Tong Tiendi's character was very good and he never got angry. Because of this, the 8 Deputy Alliance Masters seemed to have forgotten that the Alliance Master could get angry. This matter ends here. Longao has returned to the Long family. According to the information I received, Longao will enter the source of evil. If he survives, we will discuss this matter again. Tong Tiendi stood up and left. The source of evil. Hearing the Alliance Master's words, Tang Hao and the others were shocked. That was because they all knew very well what the source of evil of the Long clan signified. Shangguan Yi was pleasantly surprised because he was almost certain that once Longao entered the origin of evil, he would definitely die. Shangguan Yi, God is watching what you do. Don't go overboard. Otherwise, you will die a horrible death. Without giving Shangguan Yi a chance to speak, Tang Hao left quickly. Looking at the disappearing figure, Shangguan Yi's face turned ugly. Long family. The news of Longao's return spread throughout the Long family. Everyone who heard the news was shocked as they did not know why Longao would come back. Knowing that he would die if he came back, no one would come back to die unless there was something wrong with his head. Long family. Inside the main hall. As for Longao's true return, not to mention the others, just Longhang alone felt a little incredulous. He was secretly impressed. It would be great if he could take such a person under his wing. Clan leader, I have returned as promised. When can I enter the source of evil? Long Di Tien was surprised and impressed by Longao's return. Although he did not want to let Longao enter the source of evil, it had already been decided. Even if he was the clan leader of the Long family, he could not change it. Tomorrow, Longao. If there is anything you can't solve, you can report it to me. As long as it's not too much, I can promise you. Thank you, clan leader. No. Since that's the case, you will enter the source of evil tomorrow at this time for a month. Longao did not say anything. He bowed and left. After Longhang left, Longbo said impatiently, Father, Longao is not simple. If we let him enter the source of evil and something happens to him, wouldn't we lose a lot? Long Di Tien did not say anything. How could he not know what Longbo meant? Father, Longao established the dragon sect. He didn't say anything, but the meaning is very clear. If we help him, and he turns around to deal with us, what should we do? He waved his hand. This matter ends here. No matter what happens, we have to nurture Longao. Long Di Tien turned and left without saying anything else. Only Longbo was left in the hall. Longbo's face was ugly. As the most talented person in the Long family, he would definitely become the next clan leader in the Long family. If he was not confident, he would definitely not do it. Not to mention, Longao established the dragon sect. He definitely did not want to stay in the Long family and be nurtured by others for nothing. Would he agree? Longao establishing the dragon sect was practically provoking the Long family. Longbo could not understand what his father was thinking. If it was an ordinary person, would his father still be so tolerant? What was his father's purpose? Longbo couldn't figure it out. He really couldn't figure it out. However, he had already decided that no matter what his father decided, he wouldn't let Longao go. The source of evil this time was Longao's burial ground. Within the pavilion in the back hall of the Long family. Master God Diviner, are you sure that Longao will be the savior of the Long family in the future? Even now, Long Di Tien still didn't believe it. However, the Master God Diviner's status was there. His Tao of divination was unparalleled, and he had never been wrong. If that was really the case, he would rather believe it than not. That was why Long Di Tien was going all out to nurture Longao. Even if Longao established the dragon sect, he would turn a blind eye to it. Otherwise, he would have long since killed Longao. Establishing the dragon sect was a provocation to the family. The Master God Diviner's expression was ugly. However, no one dared to look down on him. Even the heavenly Daos knew that the true number one expert of the martial heaven continent was not the heavenly Daos, but the Master God Diviner. Even the heavenly Daos had to be courteous to the Master God Diviner. Long Di Tien, back then, my relationship with Long Tien wasn't bad. Otherwise, I wouldn't be like this. As for whether you believe it or not, you can see for yourself. Seeing the Master God Diviner's displeasure, Long Di Tien jumped in fright. He could offend anyone, but he definitely couldn't offend the Master God Diviner. Otherwise, let alone the Long family, even if the 10 Directions tripods worked together, they still wouldn't be able to contend against the Master God Diviner. This was the Master God Diviner's terrifying power. Master God Diviner, I know what to do. I hope we can avert danger this time. Master, I really want to ask if our Long family and the dragon race's 10,000-year calamity is related to the heavenly Daos. Although that was his guess, Long Di Tien didn't dare to be certain. Author's note: wait, there are still 2 more chapters. The rest will be updated tomorrow. There will be 15 chapters. Everyone, please count your votes. Chapter 1091. I can't tell you. It was depressing. Since the clairvoyant was unwilling to speak, Long Di Tien did not dare to ask. Long Di Tien, I won't appear for the time being. You can do as you see fit. Without giving Long Di Tien a chance to speak, the clairvoyant disappeared. Long Di Tien sat alone in the pavilion, quietly sitting there. Long Ao had just returned to his residence when Long Chen rushed over. Long Chen went straight to the point and asked, "Long Ao, why did you come back?" Long Ao smiled. Of course, he knew that Long Chen was concerned about him. There are some things that should be done and some things that shouldn't be done. That's why I came back. Long Ao was straightforward and did not say anything else. Before Long Chen could ask anything else, Long Ao continued, "Long Chen, I've already made up my mind. You don't have to persuade me anymore." Long Chen sighed deeply. Without a choice, he could only stand up and leave. At night, under the starry sky, Long Ao was looking at the endless void alone. Tomorrow, he would enter the origin of evil. But now, he still didn't know where the origin of evil was. The night was silent. The next day, Long Di Tian and Long Hang did not appear. Only Long Bo brought Long Ao into the origin of evil. At the entrance, "Long Ao, be careful. The origin of evil is listed as a forbidden area for Long family. 99% of those who enter the origin of evil will not come out alive. Do you understand what I'm saying?" Long Ao nodded. How could he not know what Long Bo meant? There was no way out. Not wanting to speak any more nonsense, Long Ao entered the entrance and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. "Long Ao, I'll make you wish you were dead." Within the origin of evil, there were tombs everywhere. It was like a mass grave. It was eerie and gave off a gloomy feeling. Long Ao entered the origin of evil carefully. He was on his guard. It could be said that he was advancing step by step. As a forbidden area for Long family, there were too many legends about the origin of evil. "Long Fu, what can you sense?" The source of evil was boundless, and one couldn't see the end of it. Other than tombs and skeletons, there were only some rocks and weeds. "Master, there's nothing special about this origin of sin." "Nothing special?" This time, Long Ao was surprised. If what Long Fu said was true, then why were most of the people who entered the origin of evil unable to leave? "Wait, Master. If I'm not mistaken, this so-called source of evil should be the lair of an evil demonic dragon." "Sin devil dragon? Long Fu, how strong is this sinful demon dragon?" Intuition told Long Ao that the sin demon dragon that Long Fu mentioned was definitely not simple. As expected. "Master, I have already sensed it. The sinful demon dragon should be in the Nirvana realm." Damn, Long Ao cursed in his heart. He never thought that the lair of an evil demonic dragon. Why would the Long family continue to send people into this place? Could it be that there's a secret in the origin of evil? "Long Fu, sense it carefully. I have a feeling that there's a secret in the origin of evil." Long Fu didn't say anything. Long Ao slowly walked forward. Just as he took 3 steps, the skeletons that were already dead suddenly moved. Each and every one of them flashed with green eyes. It was very terrifying. Long Ao was also shocked. Not daring to be careless, Long Ao swung the god-slaying sword in his hand without hesitation. This sword was combined with the Emperor Dragon's 9 kills and the Thunderbolt 36 styles. One could imagine how powerful this sword was. As the sword swept across, the surrounding skeletons were all severed. Long Ao thought that it was over, but he never expected that the severed skeletons would stand up again. In desperation, Long Ao continued to fight the skeletons. Firmament devouring art. Long Ao had no choice but to use the firmament devouring art. A huge black vortex appeared behind him and he was ready to devour the surrounding skeletons. However, even with the firmament devouring art, it was still useless. "What should I do?" Long Ao continued to release sword chi. The surrounding sword chi was filled with sword chi, forcing the skeletons away. "Master, these skeletons are controlled by the remnant soul of the sinful demon dragon. Therefore, these skeletons can't be killed." Regarding this point, Long Ao had already guessed it. "Long Fu, what should I do?" "Master, you have to force your way out and find the remnant soul of the sinful demon dragon. Not only can you destroy these skeletons, but you can also help Long Ming regain his consciousness." Hearing Long Fu's words, Long Ao was pleasantly surprised. If he could help Long Ming regain his consciousness, He would charge forward regardless of whether it was a mountain of swords or a sea of flames. According to Long Fu, Longao held the god-slaying sword and forced his way out. The surrounding skeletons seemed to be moving slowly, but in fact, they were moving extremely fast. They were following behind Longao. Following Long Fu's senses, Longao dashed forward. In a short while, Longao came to a halt. The skeletons behind him all stopped as well. Longao swallowed his saliva fiercely. In front of Longao, there was a huge dragon the size of a black hill. There was no need to guess at all. Longao was almost certain that the black wolf in front of him was the so-called evil demon dragon. He was certain that the sinful demon dragon in front of him had fallen. As for its remnant soul, it was not here. Master, be careful. Before he could react, Longao's body flew out and fell hard on the ground. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Not daring to be careless, Longao turned over because the following attacks came one after another. As expected. The sinful demon dragon was a divine beast of nirvana. If it was the sinful demon dragon at its peak, Longao would not be able to withstand a single blow. After all, a divine beast of nirvana was too powerful. However, the current situation was completely different. The sinful demon dragon had fallen. It was impossible to kill Longao with its remnant soul alone. After all, Longao had the protection of the sacred body of desolation. Wait. Boy, are you begging me for mercy? A cold voice rang out. The evil demon dragon's corpse that was clearly dead suddenly opened its eyes. Its huge body also moved slowly. Longao was not surprised at all because he was certain that the sinful demon dragon had indeed fallen. The reason why it could still move was because of its remnant soul. Beg you for mercy? Demon dragon, I'm just giving you a chance. This time, I came in mainly to devour you. Devour me? Ha 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 ha. Hearing Longao's words, the sinful demon dragon laughed crazily as if he had heard the funniest thing in the world. Even if it had fallen and only its remnant soul was left, it was not something that a mere human could contend with. In the sinful demon dragon's opinion, the other party was simply courting death. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.